We are live.
Oh, you forgot the countdown video. Oh, we're immediately right off the bat.
See, here it is. Right.
I will not contribute to this.
Terry.
We're getting feedback live in the studio.
Sounds from another time.
Pigs
in space. You guys, what was that?
I can't get out.
Yes.
You could probably go walk over there and tell him or something.
I'm
I'm
gonna do
literally
that.
stuck.
You guys, I'll see you later. I can't deal with this. I can, but I can't.
Great. You made him quit.
Great.
We can rebuild him. The have sound.
That needs to be turned off. That. Not the stream.
The TV. Yes.
We're going to take a second, everybody.
Let's see. Somebody's texting me. I wonder if it's about this.
Why is your phone on?
That would require a viewer.
The Wi-Fi.
I remember being told don't have it on. So you
it's
fucking
Wi-Fi.
rebel.
Yeah.
No.
I don't get.
What's Terry doing?
Turn whatever I want on.
This truly is the most unique
It's
space.
true. Unique just means different.
No,
New York.
I do think that it's just like that camera probably has the speaker on. It had nothing to do with that. It's just that we were hearing ourselves.
Yes, I think that's what it was.
So trying to fix it in there.
That's
Guys,
It
Oh,
wasn't
no?
that.
it has everything to do with that. You can't mute one StreamYard session without muting all.
Oh, StreamYard session.
because the sound is going through.
Can we just turn?
The one.
StreamYard
Can't-
fucking sucks.
Wait, can we turn this TV all the way down?
We won't hear you, or maybe we will, but yeah. Can we just turn the volume down on this television?
Yes, but then you won't hear me.
True. But you can still communicate by typing to us.
Yeah. And we are
Yeah.
we are currently live.
But it is because StreamYard, if you log in as the same person and hit mute on one computer,
Right.
Yes.
it mutes all instances.
Because the sound's going through that through.
No. As in, I hit mute on computer 1, computer 3 also gets muted. Because we're the same guy.
Brian, can you
logged
just
in.
turn down the volume on that
I
television?
would be happy to.
Yeah, guys, start your show.
Is
Well,
that?
Everything's fine.
Are we still going?
are we still going? We can't see anything. We have no idea what's happening.
What's happening?
Oh, you're live.
Oh, hey, we're live.
Oh, great.
We never went live.
Oh, thank you for sticking around with us.
We
No.
never were not live.
Yeah.
We're still live.
We're still live.
Shut it down.
God
Still,
damn it.
turn that bitch down now.
How? Wait, is the remote
I
control?
got it. You guys are the cast. Talk about comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Favorite
This
Santa.
is one comic I read
Who the
one
hell
time
is
where
your
they didn't
favorite
even turn
Santa?
The volume down.
Favorite
Right.
Santa.
So I saw this Christmas ornament, you guys,
Yeah.
and it was
Damn it. It was what?
What's it all?
Santa.
It was what?
Santa kneeling
Oh.
at the baby Jesus. And he had his hat off,
Yeah.
and there's a quote that said something about like, and at the name of Jesus, all shall bend their knees.
Wow.
And I thought that was remarkable, but
Yeah.
that is not by far not my favorite
I feel-
depiction of Santa.
I feel like that's just historically inaccurate.
Yeah, he wasn't there at the time. He was, I think,
He was
in
a
Georgia,
saint.
Yeah.
right?
Well, he
Yeah.
was like Saint Nick.
His
Was
family.
ordained
He came after.
many hundreds years later.
But a lot of Santa comes from Odin, or Yulnir was one of his names, and a lot of the Santa imagery is actually from Odin, from
Oh.
the Norse stuff.
Oh,
But
okay.
you know what? I got to give it up to C. Clement Moore's classic "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." I love it. I love
Is
to
it like
recite
the-
it.
The
He's
book?
not. Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's not that. I mean, Santa's just a plot point.
He
not like
is.
characterization.
So I was a little concerned that might come up. And my second favorite, as crassly commercial as it is, or I think it's like Norman Rockwell's paintings.
Okay.
You know, those are cool.
I a little Len.
Oh, if we're gonna do that, I like the one from the old Coke cans.
That's the
That's
one. I
Norman
think.
Rockwell.
That's
Oh,
the
that's
one.
that
Rockwell.
one?
That's
Yeah.
Oh, I
my
like
one.
that guy too.
Great.
He's got those rosy
Uh,
cheeks.
And it's only crassly commercial because his work has been used in that
Crassly
way.
Well, I
commercialized.
think Coca-Cola
Cra-
commissioned
What
it. Like that's a Coca-Cola commission, I think.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, really?
I think that was originally one of
Oh.
his paintings from the Saturday Evening Post,
Oh, is that
which
right?
where a lot of his paintings would
Yeah.
adorn the covers of those.
Yeah.
And then over the years, it has been licensed by Coca-Cola because he
Interesting.
used Coca-Cola imagery
Oh,
in it because it was, it was the soda of
the Americana
Yeah.
thing.
You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's
Oh,
what-
that's good to know.
with cocaine in it.
Cool.
What juice?
mine is the Santa Claus from the Rankin and Bass.
Oh,
Santa Claus is coming to town.
where he's the young guy?
Where he's the young guy is
Yeah.
basically the origin of
Yeah.
Santa Claus,
That's a solid
and how he
choice.
becomes
Is this a
Santa
movie?
Claus.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Is this a
The
movie?
the wood
Is
nation one.
it's not what it's stop motion animation.
Okay, so I thought we
Oh.
established like many years ago that I have just a blank spot for all of those. I'd still never seen
We
the
did one on
Heat Miser
the
and the
last or
ice
2 years
asshole.
ago.
Which
Christmas.
Yeah.
is a year
You-
without a Santa Claus.
Yeah,
word.
couldn't
Uh,
be farther from what we're talking.
Yeah,
Nah.
Well,
Santa's
it's
Rudolph.
it's the following
His
year.
name
I
is
mean,
Rudolph,
but it's not far off.
No, I
It's-
mean as far as our favorite Santa things.
oh
Just a
yeah,
year
no, I'm
without
just
a Santa
I'm just
Claus.
talking about like
But Santa Claus is
I
different.
literally
He is
have a
different.
hole
True.
in my pop culture knowledge when it comes
Yeah.
to those stop motion
That's too
animated
bad.
Those are great.
specials.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, that's you really need to fill that.
I'll check it out.
So wait, which movie is that?
The
Here
Santa
comes it.
Claus is coming to town.
Yeah.
Which is the animated special, which is basically the origin of Santa Claus.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Me
Oh,
neither.
yeah,
He's a
he's
young
he's
guy.
like-
He's got red
He's
hair.
got red hair, and it
Yeah.
goes through the whole deal
He's a
about
ginger?
how he becomes like a guy who likes making toys,
Yeah.
and then how
That's pretty
he
sus.
starts giving toys to the people in his city, and the
Burgermeister Meisterburger.
Burgermeister Meisterburger, who's the head of the city, like tries to stop him,
Uh-huh.
and that's
I mean,
what.
oh, look at that.
Oh, there he is.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
Harry Knowles.
No.
Harry Knowles is Santa Claus?
No,
It is a child, Harry Knowles.
He starts
Wow.
off with no beard. This is
It's-
him
but
coming
it's
in.
just
yeah, that's
as
him
Santa.
as
I
he's
hope
getting
it starts
older.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
him as he's getting
But
older. We're seeing a
Santa-
picture
there's
of him.
no mustache. It's just all chin music.
We're seeing a picture of him, ladies and gentlemen.
This is
Like
just-
that's him as he starts to get older and
Gotcha.
develops a beard. But like it goes through his whole origin. Like he meets, the woman who will become Mrs. Claus, and they have a relationship and the whole.
Oh,
Is
there
this
he is.
is this
There she
is this a 10-episode miniseries?
No, it's just one 1 hour special.
It sounds like
There's a lot going on.
And
it
that's-
sounds
Oh, see,
It's begging for
I
a
recognize
deconstructed
that
reboot.
version of him.
Yeah,
The one
Yes.
that's on the CD case.
There you
and
go.
this is literally that to me is not only the definitive origin of Santa Claus.
I know.
Yeah.
In
That's my Santa Claus.
Right on.
the Google our producer's putting up like some pictures in that image search. Is that Lindsay Lohan also? Or did you just type in like
I think that is Lindsay.
shit?
Lohan.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
no.
No, just a redheaded woman.
Okay, so
Yes.
no.
I want to go because I hope you're not going to steal mine.
I'm gonna steal yours, whatever it is. I'm
He already
just gonna
stole
say,
mine.
I stole it. You stole mine.
My favorite Santa is Action Santa from Klaus from Dan Mora and Grant Morrison's comic book
Wonderful.
series.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, if anybody's never read it, it's the coolest thing in the world. It's the origin of
read it.
Santa, but it's like
Not that Klaus.
Not
Different
that-
Klaus.
it's I don't know, I can't describe it. It's dope.
Yeah,
Like
Grant Morrison and Dan Mora.
That-
A series of graphic novels called Klaus, Klaus, and it's basically like a heavy metal origin of Santa. It's dope.
it very much feels like a heavy metal.
Yeah, I don't know why. There's nothing
2000
heavy metal
AD.
about it, other than it feels very heavy metal.
Yeah, it's super great.
Well, I didn't steal yours,
Damn it.
but similarly, brand new, just came out this month, is a
Whoa.
film in the theaters called
Violence.
Violent Night.
Yeah.
Violent Night, starring
David
The guy
Harbour.
from Stranger Things.
David Harbour, the guy from Stranger Things,
Hopper.
as he was named by his parents.
Yeah. He changed his name to David
He changed
Harbour.
his name. That's,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
his stage name.
His stage name is David Harbour.
Yeah, David Harbour. And it's awesome. And it's basically Klaus,
Is it?
because we get a little bit of his origin. It's a little bit like Klaus. And it's basically, if you haven't seen this movie, go Google a trailer, watch the trailer right now for Violent Night. It's in the theaters right now. It's also on video on demand right now, too. They just
Yeah.
released it like today or yesterday. And it's Die Hard with Santa Claus is exactly what it is. And it's a bucket of fun. Highly recommend.
It looks fun. My girlfriend
Yeah.
wants to go see that. So.
Yeah.
And this is your favorite Santa of all
is.
time?
Well,
who
before that, it
did
was
he
Die-
supplant? Yeah.
Yeah, before that, it was the Santa Claus in A Christmas Story who kicks little Ralphie down the slide.
That's not even Santa.
So, hang on a second.
Hold on.
That's not
Oh,
Santa.
So
That's
essentially we're having therapy.
yeah.
We're slowly peeling back the layers of JD's trauma about
Christmas trauma?
Santa, or
Yeah.
or lack of any type of reverence. Like,
No.
fucking whatever. This one.
Tied with that is Phoebe Cates' dad in Gremlins, who dressed as Santa and went down the chimney, and he broke his neck, and they
Oh,
found
yeah.
his corpse days later because of the smell.
Yeah.
Are you incapable of seeing a real Santa? Like all your favorite Santas
Or fake
are
Santas?
fake ass
Yeah.
Santas that beat
Well, this
kids
guy's
up.
actually Santa,
This
right?
is not fake ass Santa.
He's
He's,
real
he's
Santa.
No,
Violent
okay.
Night.
the
Yeah.
terrorist
So you
squashing
finally found a Santa that you can
Yes.
identify with.
So
the
yeah,
murder Santa.
so this is how you've met the co-host.
Did you ever see?
Brian Lieb,
Hey,
Len the Bad Tribble,
What's up?
and Noel Bartocci.
Hi.
Did
I
you
ever see what?
did you ever let's see? Did you ever read Lobo versus Santa Claus?
No, I'm aware of it though.
Yeah, Lobo kicks the shit out of Santa Claus.
Nice. Also joining us in the booth is our swole producer, Terry Leahy. Say hi, Terry. He can't. You robbed me of my voice.
well, I mean, this
Period.
is a kind of voice.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, welcome everybody. At the top of the show, we'd like to thank all the listeners for being here with us, whether you're here live or checking it out later. If you dig what we're doing, please comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you know when we go live. Although I would say maybe after you get the announcement that we're going live, wait 3 minutes for us to fix our technical difficulties.
Anything could happen.
Yeah.
oh, I feel like that's just as entertaining.
Yeah, don't wait. Do it right then and have people watch
Yeah.
us. We're
And
real
then-
people.
Yeah. Get down there in the comments.
Start jeering. Not
jeer Terry.
Jeer until we're up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
going, and
It
then
helps us get
cheer
motivated.
that we made it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hey, you guys, could
hey.
I bring up?
Oh no.
Do you remember the Justice League Unlimited Christmas episode?
Yes.
That was a phenomenal, very nerdy,
For-
geek-centric episode of
Can
something.
you recap it very quickly for those of us that don't
Super
remember it?
fast? There's I think multiple stories.
Three.
Stories. There's Flash and Ultra Humanite, which ends with a lot of kids getting presents, and I think Ultra Humanite helping out.
Spoilers.
Yeah, things turn out well in this holiday episode of the children's cartoon show. But Martian Manhunter and Superman go to the Kents, and I remember,
I remember that.
Martha Kent got him a sweater that's too big, and he like
Aw.
shapeshifts up into it.
Oh, that's cute.
And what was the third one? Batman?
No, the third one is Green Lantern and Hawk Girl. They go skiing
Yes.
as part of what he likes to do for Christmas, and then she takes him to like this funky
Outer
alien
space
bar.
yeah.
Where they get in a big fight because that's what she likes to do.
She likes to get in bar
Um,
fights. I like that version of Hawkwoman.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Justice League and Justice League Unlimited are leaving HBO Max January 30th.
another
Yeah, I
one?
know, yeah.
Why?
So-
Them and the
I mean,
the
money.
1960s Aquaman.
So
because they're going to start because
No one
they're gonna
cares
start
about the 1960s
licensing them
Aquaman.
to other places.
Right.
yeah, like
I mean, if I already
free
have those
fast
places,
networks.
I don't care as much. But you know what I mean?
Well, it's gonna be ad services.
Oh, I hate
yeah.
Anywho,
Yeah.
speaking of listeners who pipe up, we've got letters.
We've got letters.
We've got letters.
Oh,
we've got lots and lots and lots and lots of letters.
This first one, and only one that I'm going to read, says, "Hey guys, last week you discussed some great Marvel events, but you left out X-Men versus Avengers. My question this week is this, ... If the two teams were to actually square off, who do you think would prevail and why?" This letter comes from Yogi Bear. Thank you, Yogi Bear.
First, we didn't leave off X-Men versus Avengers. AVX actually was on the master list.
Yeah.
It's just that none of us chose it in our top 5.
Sorry.
I
Yeah.
really like AVX, but it didn't breach my top 5 of the 25 that we were
Marvel,
kind
You know,
of
nobody
going
mentioned,
from.
but Noel created a list of all of the events for last weekend for this week.
Mhm.
We selected our top 5, and then he like compiled and collated everything and put in a
Math,
lot of work
baby.
behind the scenes and did math baby stuff.
Math, baby.
And,
Math baby.
yeah.
I had a math baby.
yeah,
No, but I love that event. I actually wanted to reread it sometime later this like in 2023, but no, it just didn't make it.
Oh, sorry.
Mm.
My answer to this question may be the answer that everyone else will give, and that highly depends on who is in each team.
Yeah.
You have picked two teams,
Yeah.
which have had hundreds of members over the years
and overlaps.
and overlaps.
Overlaps,
Like the
the
Beast was X-Men and an Avenger.
How
Wolverine.
many major
Wolverine.
Marvel characters can you think of that haven't been part of one of those two teams?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Especially now.
Silver Surfer, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, like, I think
Yeah.
like
5.
Fantastic Four said like
Wait, guys,
Right.
has Reed ever been on the
Yes.
Avengers?
Yes.
every one of the Fantastic
All of
Four
them,
at one time or
Sometimes
another
extremely
has
briefly.
been an Avenger, even if it was just an Avenger reserve. Yeah.
Ghost Rider. No, he's on now.
He's on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yo, well now you can't find
Mm.
a Marvel character that hasn't been an Avenger.
Yeah.
Like because they fucking retconned the
Miles Morales has not been an Avenger.
Oh.
Okay,
No, he's been an all new Avenger.
that's right.
Fuck.
Ah,
God
that's
damn
right.
it.
Star-Lord? Has Star-Lord been an Avenger?
Oh, maybe not.
No.
I bet there's a cosmic
Probably.
Avenger.
Wait,
out
they
there.
did. They in the Bendis era, they did have a crossover, and he was not with the X-Men. No, I don't think he's been an Avenger.
There we
Oh
go.
wait,
Star-Lord is
little
the
bit.
only person not involved in this fight.
Ben Riley,
Ben Riley. Thank you,
There you
Terry.
go.
Ben Riley.
Yeah.
Okay, so only the clone.
Kane,
Yeah.
clones. Clones
yeah,
have
so
not.
to answer your question, you're right. It would depend on
Yeah.
who we're talking about. So, all right. So so we can give Yogi an answer.
Mhm.
Let's come up like who would be your definitive X-Men Avengers?
Oh,
This is a
this
whole
is this is a
episode.
whole
Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
But I like to your point though. I think my answer overall would be the Avengers because it could be an amalgam of many different types of characters, whereas the X-Men it's just mutants.
And also,
'Cause you can include
I
mutants on the
fear
X-
and
on
despise
Avengers.
mutants.
You do,
So
that's true.
I'm very bigoted against mutants.
Change.
Yeah.
Change is not something you
That's
appreciate.
true.
Yeah, I don't like.
But you're fine with the
Evolution,
Avengers for some
Yeah.
reason,
bad.
which is
Yeah.
weird.
Also, puberty. Hate it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the Avengers, I think, overall are far more powerful. Like, they have a lot more powerful members,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no matter
They got
which
Thor and the Hulk,
basic
that's
lineup.
it.
You got Thor and the Hulk, you've got Captain
I mean,
Marvel.
if you wanted Sentry,
Hold on, though. Hold on.
All right.
there's
Thank
Omega.
you, Brian.
There's Omega level mutants
you.
though to
There
What I
like
was
flash
gonna
that
say
out.
is,
Yeah.
Sure.
What if it's just Professor X against all the Avengers? Can he just like
No.
turn them all dumb?
I mean, he
No.
doesn't do
I
that
mean-
every time there's some kind of problem. So,
But if we want him to, as writers of the story, we could.
So
well,
this,
they have a way around it.
this is the part where it gets less entertaining because it's just like, what was that Batman Tinian Batman series where it was just like the main bad guy was the designer because he
Oh,
thought
yeah.
before you thought, but then Batman thought before that, but he thought before Batman thought before that. Like we could literally just retcon it to two people in a room overthinking each other.
Yeah.
And you could, I mean, you could write whatever, right, and make it make sense. But for any of those moves, there's a counter move. So
I think it would. I think overall it would be in the Avengers because you could like build a clobber knocking team that
you got, like,
no X-Men could take.
more cosmically powered for clobber knocking.
Yeah.
Right?
Cosmic.
More cosmically powered characters are on the Avengers.
It's true.
So yeah.
Although there's a Phoenix on the X-Men.
Sometimes
Which-
she's not really on the X.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like she
Oh, but
turns
there's
against
also
them fairly
Phoenix in the
regularly.
Avengers.
Yeah.
Shit
Well.
nuggets.
Actually, right now the Phoenix is in the Avengers.
Yeah, you're right.
There you
All
go.
right.
She chose a squad.
You've asked us an impossible question, Yogi Bear, but I appreciate it.
We could do next year. We will do an episode of like Avengers teams or X-Men teams if you guys want to. We'll figure it out.
We could have head-to-head discussions.
Oh yeah,
Or
like a JLA roster.
yeah.
We could do shit like that.
Yogi, I realize this is a lot of homework, but if you want to give us
Ooh,
the X-Men team and the Avengers team
yeah.
and tell us which one we think would win,
We'll sass that out.
I
That'd be
mean,
fun.
Yeah, then we'll fight about that.
Yeah.
So I realize that's some homework. We did get another email this week from Christopher St. Saucy, but it's about the end of his favorite end of the year stuff. So we're going to hold off on that until our
that's cool.
January best of 2022 episode
Sounds good.
episodes, which are coming up.
Yeah.
All right. Email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com. Also, if you look on the screen here, you will see Peter David's Incredible Hulk Omnibus #1. This is a raffle that we're going to be doing because Peter David is currently fallen ill. He is an awesome writer who's been working for got Marvel and everybody else for decades and decades.
Yeah.
And he's recently fallen ill. So Anthony Drago, longtime listener, Anthony Drago, he actually bought this. He contacted me. He bought the omnibus just so that we could raffle it off. So what we're going to do is email me at cultpopgo@gmail.com. Give me your information. I'll send you the Venmo that you can send it to. I'm thinking $5
Yeah, we'll do $5 a raffle. Note, this is completely out of print everywhere.
Yeah.
It's also a Seminole run. You won't be able to get it anywhere else. That's as cheap as you can get it with contributing to the raffle.
And it's got a cool ass Todd McFarlane cover.
Yeah, that's the DM variant also.
Yeah.
So if you bought one on Amazon, it would not be this cover. All money raised goes directly to Peter David's GoFundMe for his medical bills.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And-
please buy lots of raffle tickets because we're trying to help him out.
What's the
This
email
is
address
the
again?
whole purpose of this.
This is the storyline that reintroduces the Gray Hulk, and he becomes
It is-
Go
Fix
Fix
It?
It and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Cool. It's a great run.
Who has a
Yeah.
new miniseries coming out by
Is that
Peter
right?
David, Mr.
That's
Fix
cool.
It.
Mhm.
Although
We don't know.
I think it may be pushed back because of his illness.
Sure. Yeah.
So Colts Pop Go, CultPopGo@gmail.com. It's actually on the screen right now. So email us, give me your information. I'll send you the Venmo that you can send it to, and I will be tallying it up. I say a month. How about a month?
Yeah, we'll let this run for a month. And just so that we know your emails from the other emails, please in the subject line put "doing it for Peter." That way we'll know exactly
Nice.
what your emails are.
Did it all
We're
for the
going
Peter.
this.
For
All right.
Peter.
Right on. All right. Thank you.
I'm ready.
You
Yes.
ready? All right.
We're continuing on from last week.
Yeah.
So tonight we're going to continue what we started.
Tonight.
Continue what we started last week, which is what's your favorite comics event. Last week we talked about
Previously.
on this show. After
Skip.
spending too much time discussing it twixt ourselves, we thought save it for the show. So tonight we're going to rank our top 5 favorite DC events. If you want to see our top 5 Marvel picks, check out last week's show. What?
Yeah, no, go.
Last week was Marvel, tonight is DC, but eventually we're ranking all time amongst us. So don't miss that. Date to be disclosed. This upcoming week,
determined.
we are going to determine.
Both.
Well, I'm going to disclose it once it's been determined,
We're
Brian.
gonna internally determine,
That's a good idea.
externally disclose. Determine, disclose.
We're not having a show next week because it's Noel's birthday, and he said we're not allowed.
Yes, he's Jesus.
Yeah.
So we're not going to.
He's
have-
my favorite Jesus.
Oh, yeah,
Santa.
Yeah, I mean, does that mean Santa bows to me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Has that not happened already? You
Oh.
should go find one.
Those
and
aren't
ask.
words.
Christopher, you're right. We did save your last email because it involved photos, and then I just forgot to send Terry the photos. So we'll get to it.
But
Shut
also
up,
we're-
Terry. I hear him cackling.
Also-
in the-
But we're
Also-
also doing a roundup kind of thing, and
Yeah.
the theme of your email fits much better into that.
Well, he's talking about his other email from forever ago and
about
does this picture look
Oh,
like
it's
this
about the
picture?
Flash?
Yeah.
It's not about the Flash. It's does this picture look like this picture?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you, Chris.
Can we move forward?
Yes,
We're
please.
moving forward.
Let's do it.
Noel, take it away.
All right. So I guess we'll reiterate the rules from last week. We established a list of events, comic book events from DC from 1986 on. So it starts with the OG of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then everything since then. I believe it was 22 or 24 line-wide events that occurred in the last 40 years. 50 years. 40 years.
40.
40.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone individually sent me their top five to one. And then I compiled all of those, and we are going to go around round robin and say what each one of ours is. And we will not talk about that until everyone has said that's going to say what that event is.
Yeah.
Just doing DC.
I think there actually may have been a few more than that because I remembered after, but it wouldn't affect my rankings. There was something called War of the Gods.
Oh, the
And
Wonder
there-
Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
but that was
And
that was an event.
yeah, but it wasn't. It
Yeah.
So-
ultimately wasn't line wide.
so yeah, also the War of the Gods, also Amazon's Attacks actually did include it. Was included, but we drew the line at it's a line-wide event, has tie-ins, and does stop a bunch of other books. If it was just an in-character event, so like only the Amazon books, or only the Wonder Woman books, or only the Superman books, or only the
or God for knows only the Batman. Books.
only the Batman books, then it wasn't included because it's not technically a line-wide event.
Right.
We had to draw
Right.
the line somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think War of the Gods everyone had an annual for that. But it's just a bit of minutia. I was just saying that I think there's even more that DC
Probably.
because we were talking before the show about the whole kind of progression of the DC multiverse going in and out. And
Yeah, that's I mean, you know what? When we talk about some of these rankings, we'll probably
Yeah.
talk about the ups and downs because even today, just today, the latest DC event ended, which was Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's obviously not in these lists because it literally just finished today, but I suspect that it maybe not have cracked the top 5 for anybody in this room. Just, to speak broadly.
Poor Terry is struggling to bring up images, but we're moving on too quickly.
I mean,
However, Terry, as we're doing our lists, if you want to throw up an image of the event itself, that'd be pretty cool.
all right. So
Who's starting? Who goes first? I forgot. I wasn't
we're
paying
doing
attention.
this alphabetically.
excellent.
Do you guys remember your lists?
Yeah, pretty well.
My
But
phone
I also
does.
have it
Do you
here.
need to pull it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Brian,
Yeah.
give me your number 5 and hold.
My number 5 is Doomsday Clock.
Oh.
This is one of the events that kind of falls between the cracks of being just character or not, but
Because
we ultimately decided it's an event.
it was like a sufficient condition kind of thing where if it had at least one of those two,
Yeah.
then was it a necessary condition? Doesn't
I
matter.
would also say that we're not talking about it right now, but
Hmm.
I would say it was intended to be a bigger event than it turned
Yes.
out being
And
because of all the shakeups that were going on at
And
DC at the time.
Yeah.
One of the things that weighed into us deciding it's an event is it had about 3 years worth of stories ramping up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had a shit ton of runway. Like the whole
It
line
did.
is
It
going
had
to
a lot of
change,
other
right?
Stuff. And then it did have universal effect.
It still does
So-
actually.
Yeah.
It's being reflected in Flashpoint Beyond and the New Golden Age and Justice Society. Blah, 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 Justice
I am
Society.
still just as excited about Jeff Johns stuff as I've ever been.
Yeah.
Next, JD, what is your number 5?
I'll tell you what,
Number 5.
it's Blackest Night,
Oh.
which originally was a a Green Lantern event, and then it took over the whole thing.
Len,
Yes.
what is your number 5?
My number 5 was Blackest Night.
Oh.
It will show up again on this list, and we're not going to talk about it yet. My number 5, and I will talk about it because I'm the only person that mentioned this fucking thing,
Armageddon 2000.
was Dark Knight's Metal.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
I liked how it ended up. I'll tell you that.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, so when it was coming out, we were all a little down on it because it was just ridiculous and
Dumb.
pablum, a bit dumb. I have revisited it about 4 times.
Really?
We've reread it. during the pandemic. I reread it again. The art is spectacular. It's just dumb, but the right kind of dumb. It knows exactly what it is.
Mhm.
And it's such a clean and thorough event. And it introduces all of the dark Batman. It's the dark multiverse. It's so metal.
Oh, right. This is the first one of the two.
Yeah.
Right.
Death metal is
did
not
the
as
same thing.
strong.
Yeah, yeah.
But I really, really enjoyed
Oh,
this.
you
And
think death metal is not as strong.
I don't think it's as strong. I think this one's better, but death metal is really fun. Death metal suffers from too many crossovers and too many extra books. Metal was so streamlined. It literally only had like 7 or 8 tie-in issues and just like one shots. And you could just read it alone. With a lot of the other events that we're probably going to talk about, and then death metal itself, the story was like all over the place and it was much more shattered. You know,
Also,
this
some
was
of the
so
best
clean.
parts of that were the single issue.
Yeah, those
stories,
one shots
you know,
of the dark Batman, and the idea of like Batman can do anything if you give him enough time. The idea that all of these different Batmen from different multiverses became a member of their Justice League or took down their Justice League.
Yeah.
I was like, this is fun. This is just fun.
Oh, you got the omnibus is coming out, isn't it?
I think so, but I don't know about it yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
Something you
I have.
revisited 4 times. I don't know.
I have it in like 3 other formats.
That's true.
Yeah, like how many other formats?
Yeah, I mean, I've got it in Absolute,
You need to
which
get
is
it in its
pretty,
final form now.
and Deluxe, and then issues. I don't.
You got it. You saw. You did it. You heard it.
Well, maybe someday. Money's tight, but either way, Dark Knight's Metal was a dark horse for me, and
Cool.
that's the only time it's going to be
Dark
mentioned
Horse
tonight.
Metal.
Brian,
Yes.
What's your
What
number
is
4?
My number 4. That is DC 1 million.
Ooh.
What?
no, it's not.
No,
Ah!
it's not. My number 4 is Infinite Crisis. Yes.
All right,
I
survey
talked-
says?
JD,
Okay, it is. It is.
it's correct. It's
my
correct.
number 4.
You switched it.
I switched it and I forgot I didn't reflect that. I was toggling back and forth on those.
My number 4 is DC 1 million.
Ooh.
It's
No, it's not.
Damn.
also not
It's
true.
Infinite
Is that your
Crisis.
number 1?
It's Infinite Crisis.
Cool.
I'm just being a dick.
Good.
By
liking what I like.
Len, what's your number 4? And talk about it.
Oh. Is it Infinite Crisis?
No. My number 4 is Final Crisis.
Interesting.
And
What? I'm sorry.
JD feels that your opinion is wrong.
We're gonna collectively talk about it, but obviously you're wrong.
I'm sorry. That was not. I did not do that on purpose. I was just shocked.
Go on.
Ahead.
You're
Go on.
surprised.
Go on. You're so
Your opinion is
stupid.
valid according to JD.
Go on. You're so stupid.
I'm so stupid.
Len, I'm sorry.
Your number 5 is one that you offered up. It's dumb. It's dumb.
Oh no,
smart.
I was talking for him.
No,
I
give it to
don't
me.
mind Final
Oh.
Crisis. Go on.
Go on. Tell us.
Go
about
on,
Final
King.
Crisis. Tell us.
You ginger bitch. Anyway, Final Crisis. Now I may be wrong because I may be misremembering, right? But Final Crisis,
I've read it twice. I'm down.
Final Crisis is the one where Darkseid kills Batman,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
They think you did.
So right,
Yeah.
he just shoots him back in time. Yes,
Yeah.
that is stupid.
No,
It-
actually, I like that. That for once they were like, we know he's not dead.
Yeah.
We're gonna tell you right away.
yes,
you know? Yeah.
yes. But what I liked about it was I liked the art because that was Jeff Jones did a lot of them.
Yeah.
J.G. Jones and Doug
J.G. Jones,
Monkey.
that's what I meant. J.G. Jones. And
Yeah.
Doug Monkey. I like
Yeah.
that. I loved that one of the ancillary books was George Perez finally getting his hands on the Legion of Superheroes.
Yes.
Legion of Three Worlds was the
That
best part
was
of that event.
awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
killer. It was a way to kind of wrap up the time trapper.
Side question. Can I just read that?
Yes,
Yes.
has
It's
barely
not-
anything
yes.
to do
Not
with the
really.
actual
Yes.
event.
In an event.
And that's
Go
what,
on.
that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Because as much as I'm choosing Final Crisis, that's the only thing of Final Crisis I own. Is
Oh.
just that.
All right.
So
And just because it gave me those things,
Mhm.
and I liked it because coming out of the death of Batman, we got the person that should have been Batman for the next 10 years, which was Dick Grayson.
100%.
He was
That was cool,
like that was the Batman and Robin stuff afterwards just made it kind of worth it. But I like Final Crisis. I don't mind it. I have the absolute omnibus. It's a thicky boy. It's a lot of tie-in issues that most of them don't matter.
Oh Jesus!
What I hated the most about that event though was that incredibly vital things happened in other books, and they didn't explain it in the main. So you had
what the whole thing with Blue Beetle?
No, the stuff with Batman or Superman in 3D, the Superman
that's
Beyond
right.
issues.
You're right.
Those two
Something about
issues
music.
were more important than anything that was happening in the main book. And then the climax of the main book explicitly had to do with that, and no one talked about it.
Yep.
Like I thought I missed an issue of Final Crisis because I wasn't affluent enough to buy all the tie-ins.
Yeah.
Right.
So like there's this whole thing with a vampire anti-monitor or vampire monitor and this is happening and this is happening and all the freaking Green Lantern Corps create like a giant stake of pure hope to go through his heart. And I'm like, when the fuck was this set up? And it was all in the Superman Beyond issues. And I'm like,
wow.
So that bothered me more than anything else. Like after the fact, rereading it, super cohesive. Everything is fine. Yeah.
But rereading the omnibus
all together.
Right. Yes.
Right.
But and also too, it was crazy delayed. So like
that's true.
It was just so incredible. It was a disjointed experience in real time, but it's favorable afterwards.
It was one of those things where I like Grant Morrison 75% of the time. 65%, 62% of the time I like Grant Morrison. There are some other projects that he works on where I'm like, oh, this is not the Grant Morrison that's for me. Final Crisis started off, I was so stoked about it. I was like, Grant Morrison. I was in like I was primed for more Grant Morrison at the time. Yeah. And just the more I read it, the lower and lower my interest became. And it felt to me, I was like, it's like someone's just switching channels. Like the main Final Crisis book, it felt like someone was just switching channels and you were just catching glimpses of things instead of a cohesive story. That reading all 900 issues in the omnibus might change that.
It is a thick boy. It's like a 1,400, 1,500 page omnibus.
Yeah.
Jesus. See, hey, like I said, it's my number 4, but it is mostly because of what came out of it.
Yeah, remembering it too. Also, too, like all of the seeds of Dark Knight's Metal are from Final Crisis. Sending Batman back in time for the whole
Batmanium.
The Barbatos,
yeah.
Like the god of the dark multiverse is all set up through Grant Morrison stuff.
It's true. I forgot about it's true.
Yeah.
Was that Legion of Three Worlds the story where the time trapper is like kind of a universal
Superboy Prime?
It's Superboy Prime, but do they also say it's like it becomes different people and he's kind of like a universal constant? Because like
I think they mentioned that there, but he is explicitly Superboy Prime in there. But they kind of mention it because they know it's going to be like retcon.
Anytime Jeff Johns is on a book, you're just waiting for Superboy Prime to be the bad guy.
Was that Jeff Johns? Did he write Legion of Three Worlds?
Yes.
Oh, yes. When I give you back the last thing I borrowed from you, I want to borrow that so I can read that.
It is really good. Oh, and Barry Allen came back in Final Crisis, kind of.
F that dude.
Yeah,
kind of.
Oh,
Barry Allen can suck a
butt. Flash that too.
So my number 5. Are we good on Final Crisis?
Number 4.
My number 4. Sorry. Is Doomsday Clock, and I'm going to talk about it.
There we go.
Oh.
So, because it's just you and me that put it on our list.
It was good.
Oh, we're not involved.
No. Yeah, you guys didn't. Well, I mean, you could obviously talk about it.
I prefer you didn't.
But I'm talking about it now because only us have it on our top 5.
Excuse me.
I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was brilliant in so much as on the surface it's a story, but thematically it is about 2 eras of comic books.
Yes.
Being juxtaposed against each other narratively, but also thematically. And I thought that was fucking brilliant.
It was cool. And it champions the one that I like. I mean, I like them both.
It champions both. But it does recognize that only one can supersede in like the era of fiction.
Right. And one is kind of what the other one comes from.
Yeah.
One is a play on the other that can't exist without, Superman and all of that stuff. I'll tell you what, that book suffered more than a little from delays. And it was like, I'm excited about this, but then 3 or 4
So-
months go by
well,
between the issues.
More so if you think about it, it's 12-issue maxi series.
Yeah.
It came out over the course of 2 years.
Yeah.
It's bi-monthly.
Yeah.
As a net, it's not that bad. What sucked the most is that halfway through it became irrelevant
Yep.
Right.
because
Right.
editorial
5G or
switched
whatever.
over and was
Yeah.
fired,
Yeah.
and they just kind of let them finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas it was meant to be an actual reflection of
Right.
the tone
Things
of
are gonna
DC going
happen.
forward.
Because this was the thing that was teased in Rebirth.
Yeah.
And this was supposed to be like the big thing.
Yep.
Now, that being said, Jeff Johns writing, the guy does a great event,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He pulls in DC, especially DC continuity, like it was made to be that way all
Yeah.
along.
Yeah.
He does it so masterfully. This and Green Lantern Rebirth is the first time I remember him doing that. Gary Frank doing the art. It is one of the best looking
Yeah.
events
Yes.
on this list, you know?
I agree.
It just looks phenomenal. And it's a story that started out real small. And I was kind of like, in the beginning, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I was kind of like, we're getting a lot of marionette and the mime.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of this going on.
Yeah.
And what really sells this event for me, we've got issue 10 is like, ugh. And issue 11 is one
That's
of the
good.
best.
That's a good hug.
I love that kind
Yeah,
of
it's a
book.
good hug.
But then issue 11 is one of the best single issue DC Universe and Superman stories that I've read, right? It's awesome. It lays out what is important and cool about Superman. There's that great line at the end where like Manhattan is narrating and he's like, I'm a man of something like contemplation and he is a man of action.
Mhm.
And
that's the issue that establishes the Omniverse, right?
yeah,
The Omniverse moves. Superman is an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
right.
How he is how he is defined, the universe is kind of malleable around him.
Yeah, it
So if
changes
it's
around him.
yeah,
and
if
the Flash is
39,
like the
54,
usher
60
of
days.
these
Yeah, like
things. Yeah, like Superman creates and the Flash like heralds. So it works in
it's
you
just
know,
real big
yeah.
brain shit that was really
Yeah.
well done.
very
Yeah.
very meta, like you were mentioning earlier about 2 eras of comics, but also the notion of comics centering around Superman. Universe is changing, but still coming back. And then the Manhattan reveal too, that he couldn't figure out what was going on, and he's testing it through this actor that you see throughout the show, and that's his way of seeing the future.
Well, that's his clock.
Right.
Yeah.
And he can't figure out what's happening, and it's revealed at the end that it's because continuity keeps changing.
Yeah.
And that's not something Manhattan is used to. And it's like it works in universe on an out of universe level. It's such a well done book.
I
And
wish
it's
you
really
guys
the last
could see
2
what
issues.
we're looking at.
Yeah.
Terry keeps putting it up on the
Oh,
screen.
it is
here.
on the screen for them.
Is it on?
Yeah.
I Am
Oh,
Inspired is April 1938. So I did. It's even written in the language or in the visual language of the
Watchmen.
original Watchmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I aside from all of the very, very valid conversations about ownership and creatives' rights, outside of that, I do feel that Doomsday Clock is an incredible homage and
Mhm.
continuation, or even just leveraging of pre-established stories
Mhm.
without diminishing them at all.
well
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Well said. I agree with everything you guys are saying.
Thank
The
you.
only reason it's not on my list is because it was like a fraction
Mm.
off of the list.
Yeah.
The honorable mention,
Yeah.
Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
I love this series. I cannot get enough Gary Frank artwork.
Oh,
Gary
he
Frank,
is one of the best.
one of my
Yeah.
top 5, 10, I don't know, but I love Gary Frank. It's a good looking book. All the work is there, and thank God they didn't switch out because
Oh,
of
no.
scheduling.
Yeah.
Nothing would ruin this book more
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
Do they
Not looking
do
like that.
do
Yeah.
premiere
Yeah.
creators have that in their contract these days?
like just wait.
You
Even if
can't
we're
like
late,
you
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
employ a fill-in if like you've got the cloud of a Gary Frank or a Jeff
Yeah.
Johns.
Yeah.
Do you have that pulled? Do
they
you,
might
have you
even-
heard of anything like
They
that?
might rethink it.
I've
now, too,
I've
you
I've
know?
heard of things like that, but I think that more often than not, especially now, it's about like how late is it? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
In this new era of DC, that's funny. What I appreciate the most is they seem to be out of the habit of like super late all the time because
Mm.
they wait to solicit shit.
Yeah, they
Like
wait
if-
for it's
if
halfway done.
Yeah, if you follow Tom King on social media at all, His shit is like all 12 issues is already written and in the process of being drawn before it ever shows up in the catalog.
That's cool.
And that shit doesn't happen. Like used to never happen.
Well, they've got to realize a large portion of their business in perpetuity is the collected edition.
Yeah.
And they know the collected
Right.
edition will sell better.
Right.
If it's the same
Like if it was
artist.
Gary Frank for issues 1 through 8 and then a fill-in artist and then 10, it would be
If it
odd.
was Batman
See Final
Catwoman,
Crisis.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
still
yeah.
have not. I was so into Batman Catwoman
Yeah.
and the Clayman art that when Liam Sharp did a couple of issues, I just
Yeah.
stopped reading it.
Yeah.
They stick the landing, but it is a really rough 3 issues in the middle.
And
as
why
well.
it's not story related at all. There's no
it's
reason to
it's
do
just
it.
schedule.
wait
Schedule-wise?
for Clayman.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But-
I'm sorry. Let's move on.
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
what's your number 3? And
think
talk
that's-
about it because you're alone.
I know. Sometimes the greatest things are appreciated by a paltry few. But I mean, I feel like that's often the case. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's DC 1 million.
Uni million.
Oh, speaking of Grant Morrison,
Yeah, speaking of Grant Morrison, I think I read this before I had any idea who Grant Morrison was, right? Or
Oh.
before I paid attention to who wrote or
Yeah.
drew or did anything, you know. Because I've always been more about the characters and that kind of thing. So DC 1 million is a book, and we said I toggled back and forth. And the reason that I switched it up to number 3 is this is a book that moments have come back to me over and over throughout the years,
Huh.
right?
okay.
I dream of this book.
I dream of it. I hold it with me as I sleep.
Yeah.
And
It's the Omni.
this moment
Which
here
makes
is
your
one of
girl
them.
very jealous. But go ahead.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if you put the Omni right underneath your neck right here, it just keeps it rigid and you're just
Yeah.
no neck
Like-
issues, no back issues.
And I
Like a
eventually
geisha.
Yeah.
will absorb
yeah, just like a
all
block
of that. It
What up, soups?
so it had so many things I love, right? It takes place in the 853rd century, which is 1 million months
Mhm.
after whatever year it came out, right? So you get far, far future, like unimaginably far future, which I love. You got an issue of every book that was coming out.
Yeah, wasn't
the
it
1
annual?
million. Yeah. And some of them were just off on their own and doing a cool thing. Some of them were really important, like the Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter stuff, right? You get the Golden Superman, right? Who's been living in the sun. One of my 2, if I could have an action figure of any character
Oh.
that has never been made, that would be one of the 2.
Would it be like a
right?
Silver Surfer
Are
but
you-
gold?
Are you listening,
look like-
McFarlane?
This guy?
Would he be shiny?
He would be shining.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What are you,
Yes.
fucking dumb?
I'm
Yeah.
talking shiny.
Okay.
So,
Is that my 1F?
yeah.
You've done like 5 so far.
Yeah. But that was your one.
Let's say 3. Let's say 3.
There's that moment. Such a great twist at the end, like the final reveal.
I don't say it because I
is
have this. I haven't read
awesome.
it yet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And everybody has
remember?
powers in the future,
Because I don't know either.
right? They it's like so far in the future, everybody's got abilities,
Yeah.
and like the descendant of Superman, they've mixed with the House of Mixed Pitalik, and they've got
What?
different abilities from that, and he's
There's-
there's so many cool things. Our Man 1 million comes out of this.
I'm
There's
an
just-
action
more than
figure I do have.
So
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
written exclusively by Grant Morrison, just the main stuff. I
No.
think
Yeah.
Mark Wade's on there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did pick up this omnibus. It was like a $30 John Ski at one point, so I picked it up. It's still in its wrap. I want to read it someday, but I picked it up because I looked at the credits, and we're talking like Mark Wade's on there, Grant Morrison, Stuart Immonen,
Ah.
like a bunch of people that are my favorites, and I'm like, why have I never read this?
Yeah.
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 And this is a book that is on my current iteration of my like rack of comics that I have at home, has issues that are notable to me personally,
Yeah.
right? Like throughout my life. And issue number 4 of this is one of those. And it just,
Wow.
the Superman stuff that it does is awesome. The thing that I'm not revealing is awesome. All of the different future visions. So many cool things happen and come out of this.
The
that-
future vision.
yeah.
I want to read it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I loved it.
you're selling
Loved
me
it.
on it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. Now I want to hear what you guys think of that twist on a future episode.
Okay.
I mean,
On our 1,000th episode.
my
How about the one that's in the 850?
We'll do a 1 million themed episode, and we'll just pretend it's
The 1,000th
1 million
episode.
months later.
Yeah.
Moving forward,
We'll
Yeah.
cosplay as our grandchildren.
Mr.
Look exactly like
Destructo,
this.
Oh, it's me.
what is your number 3? And talk about it alone.
So, my number 3.
It's nothing bad.
On
you know,
my own.
It's not bad.
This one surprised me.
Oh.
As I was thinking, I was having a big thought on the toilet.
Big think.
Just I was thinking big, and I was going through all of the different events, and Death of Superman
Thud thud splash.
Oh, intriguing.
was
Yeah.
it has sort of a silly rap now, but at the time, and a think and a stink said Terry. Yes. And Calvin Austin says DC 1 Million is definitely
Oh,
underrated.
thank you, Calvin. Yeah.
Thank you, Calvin. Yeah, Death of Superman. There was the Death of Superman. There was a lead up to it where like this meteor comes to Earth, and throughout all the different issues, we start to find that like this creature is digging his way out and he's
did we
fighting all
know-
of the.
We knew at some point before he died that Superman was going to die, right? It was
Yeah.
like in the news.
It was
Yeah.
in like
When-
literally on like the
Yeah. Which I think we knew like as soon as that meteor came down. Like we knew the whole time
Something
this
was
is the
going
thing
to be
that's going to
killing-
kill
yeah.
Superman. Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I remember doing a mad dash to try and get the previous issues because I didn't see the meteor, and I didn't see him fighting the Justice League,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was basically the
what a
the junior Justice League. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that whole was it a year, 2 years?
Something.
this may be a year.
I know
Was-
it extended because of the show Lois and Clark, right?
Oh, did they?
They wanted to marry. Oh no, maybe it existed at all. They wanted to marry Lois and Clark in the comics,
Uh-huh.
and the show was like, "We're gonna do that in a little bit. Can
Yeah.
you wait?"
Yeah.
And,
And
that's
then-
when they did the
Yeah.
So, yeah. In
Wait.
retrospect,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, that is
think-
what happened.
Yeah.
The years line up. Like Lois and Clark was in
Yeah.
the.
I know.
80s?
I can't
Right,
believe
right.
it
I
either.
thought it was like 90s. Sorry,
No,
go
it
ahead,
is in the
JD.
90s. This was in the 90s.
No, this is 19. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
94 says Terry. It came out in 94.
Sorry about that.
There you
It was great.
Yes.
I don't remember what I was saying.
The 2 years.
But I was young and dumb, and I was like, they killed Superman.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to bring him back.
What's gonna
This was back when Aunt May, or I guess Aunt May was still alive, but like Uncle Ben was dead. Barry Allen was dead.
Sure.
Captain Marvel was dead.
Bucky
Yeah.
was dead.
Bucky was. There was a lot of dead characters,
Yeah.
and I wasn't used to the constant
Right.
murder and
nobody was.
resurrecting.
And to be
Didn't
fair,
happen.
the Flash
Yeah.
was dead.
That's what I said.
He's
Yeah,
a-
Barry
Oh,
Allen.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, for sure. So I was like, oh my God, they killed Superman.
Well, I think with
And then
Superman,
one
the
of these
first one.
four,
Yeah.
one of these four dudes is going to be the new Superman.
Yeah.
Or one of them is Superman reincarnated.
Yeah.
What the? I couldn't believe it.
That was some crazy stuff.
I was month to month, and I believe that was back when they had the triangle.
They did.
So you'd be
Yeah.
reading Adventures of Superman, Superman, Action Comics, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But there was a little triangle that lets you know this is the fourth one. You should read this one
Yes.
next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just a really, really fun time for me personally to be reading comic books. I was in hook, line, and
Yeah.
sinker. Cyborg Superman to this day is one of
Hank
my
Henshaw's awesome.
Hank Henshaw.
Have you read his?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, the fact that it was a Fantastic Four ripoff at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
they
yeah.
go back and use that one throwaway story
Yeah.
to create this villain. To this day, he's one of my favorite character
cool.
designs for a villain.
It
So-
made me feel so like in it
Yeah,
because I knew and loved that issue,
Mhm.
and then I was like, now hang on a second.
I remember that guy.
They're using a thing from before
Yeah,
now. This is awesome.
yeah, man.
Can I tell you my story
Look at that
of
dude.
having read this?
Yes.
I didn't. So what I
What?
lived in the middle of nowhere, Florida. I have no comic book shop.
Uh-huh.
I have Publix grocery store that has some shit on the racks.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
We knew that this was happening because it was in the news,
Oh, no.
and I was able to get the issue in polybag.
Oh,
Mm.
the black.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Bought to Reddit, had to fill in the gaps. There's no internet. A year or two later, and then got whatever I could. I did remember I was able to get like all 8 issues of Funeral for a Friend,
Mm.
but never read the actual event and just kind of like, and I think I was able to score like the first issues of each of the 4 miniseries of the Superman, but I never read the actual stuff beforehand. About a year or so later at the flea market, someone was selling a binder of the entire set of trading cards,
Ooh,
Oh, oh.
which I still have. hey.
We both were like, ooh.
I thought you were about to get the
It's-
entire comic.
No,
so I'm
it's
sad
a-
for you.
it's a binder of the entire set of trading cards.
I just found one of those.
and I still have it. It's in my
Yeah,
office.
That's cool.
It literally pieces the entire story.
Oh.
So I
yeah,
know that
yeah.
the
That's
entire
awesome.
fucking thing.
That is pretty cool.
So I
Yeah.
read it, but I
Yeah.
read it in Topps trading cards.
That's cool.
That's
You
fantastic.
read the Wikipedia version.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
I've never actually gone and read it.
My mom,
Huh.
bless her soul, she's still alive.
Huh.
Um,
You
Bless
can
her
still-
soul.
As-
Yeah.
as- I-
Such a reserve for
Yeah.
people.
Her everlasting soul is
she went
Yeah.
and had heard about it, so she went and stood in line outside of a comic shop.
Oh.
Remember, I don't know if you guys know, lines were around the blocks to get your hands on this Superman issue.
I don't
She
remember.
must like you.
And so she went to go get it for me, and she still to this day has it in a fireproof lockbox,
Nice.
just in case.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I'll retire. Everyone thought they were going to retire off of Death of
Yeah.
Superman. I still in the comic shop still get people coming in and be like, "Yo, man, how much is that worth? I got one. How much is it
Everyone
worth?"
has
And I'm
one.
like, $5, maybe.
Yeah. Less
Basically.
than it was when it came out.
But that's one of those ones that I wouldn't mind revisiting.
Is it worth so little because there are so many out there?
Yeah.
That's
I
Everyone-
would think so.
Yeah,
It was
because
overprinted.
all the shops had lines around the
Right.
block.
They
Yeah.
So
sold
all
as
of
many as
those
people wanted. Right.
Yeah.
I-
This
now-
was back in the 90s where comic shops were ordering boxes, long boxes of
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
because it's for the collector.
Yeah.
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 The collector's boom, the speculator boom.
I
and
have
bust.
an issue of the one where he is in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Remember that? I got
With his
the
with Pa.
It's
yeah,
funeral for
I
a
got
the
the
white-
platinum edition from the Philly Comic Con, and my bar mitzvah was that year. And my dad had some connections at DC Comics, and I got to go
Oh.
to DC Comics offices.
What?
It was an amazing,
You don't remember
amazing time in itself. And I had that issue, and I gave it to the editorial staff, and they all signed it. So it's
They
like
all pissed on it.
everybody.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And
they signed it in
all-
urine.
They
Yeah.
all decreased the fucking value.
Yeah. But no, it's like Mike Carlin, Dan Jurgens, Jerry
Oh.
Ordway, like
Oh, that's
everyone who was working there at the time on Superman signed
Yeah.
it, and it's awesome. It's
Man,
really cool.
Ordway
Yeah.
was great back then.
Yeah.
I really appreciated it. Like Ordway and Jurgens, I really liked them
Mhm.
at the time. They haven't. They're not still in my
They
top.
don't impress
No.
them.
I'm in their
much.
age now.
Yeah. Hey, do you remember when the Reign of the Supermen, the first issues, that you had the cardstock cover and
Die
you just
cut.
saw the cutout?
It
Yeah.
was die
You
cut.
saw the cutout emblem, and you open it up, and it was that character
Yeah.
for each of them. Oh, that was
Love
awesome.
that
Oh,
crap.
Yeah.
The was it the Death of Superman and Reign of Supermen
Yes,
Yeah.
animated movies are pretty decent.
they are pretty good.
They are.
Very
It's
good.
not
Yeah, yeah.
amazing, but they're good.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is, but there's at least one thing that I was like, oh, that changes a little weak.
Uh-huh.
But all
But it
in
was-
all, it was good.
It was far and away better than Superman Doomsday.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
no
Oof.
question. No question.
That movie was
That was not great.
dog shit.
Kevin's in the chat saying, I can appreciate Death of because it gave us modern Superboy. Dude, I'm sorry. Superboy in the 90s. I guess he's not modern anymore. But like that version of Superboy was peak cool to me.
It was
Connor?
cool.
He had the leather
Yeah.
jacket.
The
He had the
glasses.
round glasses. He had the leather jacket, had the S on the back.
It did.
He had the fade.
He had the fade. Yeah, it's true, man. He was
Yeah.
looking all right. I thought that dude was so cool.
Yeah.
He was
I
like a
like that.
misogynistic prick.
He was.
He was.
Who
And
had
you
the-
loved that.
I love misogynistic pricks
Yeah.
to this day.
You like the penises themselves. to
Yes.
hate
Oh,
women.
yeah. I don't like the
Yeah,
misogynists
yeah,
they're
yeah.
attached to.
Right.
There's the pull quote for the show.
Yeah.
So
Should we have been pulling quotes?
should we move on or
We
do you
should
guys
move
want
on.
to
We should move on from the Death
Um,
of
I want to
Superman.
reread Death of
So
Superman.
Len,
It's really good.
Yes.
yours and my number 3 are the same,
Oh,
and we're the only two that picked it. So at the count of 3, do you want to just say it at the same time?
Ooh.
It's our number 3, right?
Yeah.
number 3.
Okay.
Count of 3.
It's 1, 2, 3, go.
DC 1 million. Oh.
1, 2, 3.
Identity crisis.
Oh.
See, here's the thing.
It's not-
When I had made my list, I didn't think that this was a viable solution.
I didn't
Go
either.
ahead.
I didn't either, but he convinced me.
Yeah, because there were tie-ins.
They were
There were
tie-in
tie-ins.
issues.
Who's got to talk
It
about it?
did affect a lot of the.
You,
ones.
you, I did mine. You do. You
Oh,
go
you
first.
do.
I mean,
Oh.
it's a wonderful story. It's very self-contained. It's a detective story.
Exactly.
I very much like it as a detective story. I think it's great. Elongated Man was never even on my radar until this.
Oh, yeah.
Sue Dibney was never on my radar.
Yeah, never
until
mind
this.
his wife.
Yeah,
never-
right.
That reveal in the second to last issue with the little footprints and like it.
Ugh.
It was dark,
Mm.
but I don't think it was. You know what? That's maybe a conversation for another day. Whether it was like excessive or yeah. I mean the aspect of members of the Justice League hiding the truth of a sexual assault is it's not something that probably should exist in DC
And yeah,
See,
in
here's the
comic
thing.
books.
Here's-
However, within the story, not talking about the characters outside of the story, like outside of the story, it doesn't make sense. In the story itself, I was buying it and I was enthralled.
yeah,
Yeah.
I loved it too. Yeah,
I loved it. I thought it was a great detective story. I got where some people thought it was excessive a little bit, but to me, it was what Alan Moore wanted to do with Watchmen.
I
can
see
see
it.
it.
Because he
Wow.
actually
That's
wanted to
interesting.
take actual heroes
Yeah.
and really work them, put them in realistic modes. And that's what Brad Meltzer did with the Justice League. He put them as real people in these scenarios and how they would operate, how we might operate.
Yeah.
We don't want to think we would operate like that, and therefore we don't want to see our heroes operate like that. But that's how a lot of people would get down, and especially the heroes that they mentioned, because I like that it wasn't ultimately what came down to this, spoiler alert for an 80-year-old book, this mind wipe of Batman that they
Yeah.
do. It's not Superman, Wonder Woman, the
It's-
Flash,
It's
It's
Green Arrow,
Hawkman,
Hawkman.
Zatanna.
Well,
Who-
Flash is involved, but his wife had just been killed.
No,
Oh.
it
Oh,
wasn't.
he's not part of the mind wipe part.
He's not
That's
part
right.
of the mind wipe.
Right.
It is. They to your point, Meltzer doesn't inorganically make a character that would never even think of that.
Right,
just
right,
do
right.
it.
Right.
They are more morally ambiguous members of the Justice League.
But I remember them mentioning like something because Barry's wife had just been
Mhm.
killed. He was willing to lobotomize Dr. Light, I think.
Terry is bringing it
think
up on the
so.
screen
Yeah.
here.
Maybe that did happen.
Yeah.
And he's commenting, Robin's dad also. I totally
Tim
look
Drake's
at this
pop, yeah.
panel
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
where
yeah.
Batman is consoling Tim Drake, who's like
Right.
his
right.
father has just been murdered
Yeah,
by a boomerang.
And his dad didn't know his
Secret
Didn't know his
identity.
secret identity.
So
Oh, yeah.
he was ripping off his costume when they was running towards
Ah,
like the race in the Batmobile and then getting there and ripping off his costume, trying to get there in time. And
man,
it was this.
save my dad.
That's
yeah.
right. Save my dad in the car. This book is gut wrenching. It does hold up on
It
rereads.
does hold up.
I gotta reread this.
And it's another one that I don't think it was super late. It was a little late, but it wasn't
Nothing
super
crazy.
late.
No, this came out when I was in college and just kind of getting back into comics, and it was it spoke to me where I was at the time,
Mm-hmm.
seeking a little bit darker content,
Exactly.
seeking a little bit
Same.
more mature content.
Is
without-
this before Bendis on Justice League?
Yeah.
Oh,
wait.
before.
Then I guess this is
Way
the first time I like the Justice League
A
book.
million
Oh, really?
years
Because I
before.
previously said it was Bendis, but I think
Now,
this was.
how do you
so-
feel about the art? Because it doesn't seem like art you would like.
His-
I-
Raj
not-
Morales?
Yeah.
I love him.
Morales.
I
Sorry.
thought it was great. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm not into Rags Morales very much. It's a little loopy looking. It's a little dopey looking. But it's not. He's not without merit or
yeah.
talent.
Doesn't
He's
drag you out.
excellent
Yeah.
at what he does.
Yeah.
It doesn't speak to me. However, the page we just had up
Hmm.
was gut wrenching.
It was good.
Yeah,
Now I'll tell you guys, I
certainly better
was
than Michael
disappointed
Turner's
by
covers.
Identity Crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I
the
was
only
real-
bad part about it.
I was real into it. Now this was before I had kind of grown weary of this kind of storytelling, and I too was like, "Oh wow, they're doing some real shit with these
Yeah.
characters. Like
Yeah.
this is really interesting." And in the beginning, I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool," and I thought the reveal. I thought we were getting like a detective story, which I guess hit for you guys, but it was. I think JD, you put it this way last week. It was a twist,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, it was. I thought it was going to be like a supervillain has done this. Figure it out from the clues that
Yeah.
you, a big DC fan, would have at your disposal, kind of thing. And it wasn't that. And that might have been part of the marketing or
Yeah.
my perception going into it. And it's not like it's off base for any detective novel where it turns out it's something
Yeah.
you didn't expect at all.
Yeah,
but
maybe I'm not exactly sure. You don't have to explain it more. I'm not exactly sure. There's a difference between a mystery and a twist.
yeah.
Personally,
may I?
like a
Yeah.
twist. A twist
I
is
think
in
a
a
mystery. I think if you're reading a mystery, part of the appeal is can either reader figure this out?
Yeah.
But when a character at the last minute discovers tiny footprints
New
that we never
information.
knew about,
I guess I don't really separate the two those two aspects of mystery stories, detective stories. Sometimes there's new information that comes at the end that recontextualizes
Yeah.
the whole story.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's pieced
I think
together.
I was just
yeah,
unsatisfied by
maybe
the
those
reveal.
types. Okay,
Right.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I
The
was
only-
like, I don't differentiate the two. Yeah,
The only
so
time I would
was-
get upset with that if in revealing the conclusion there is new evidence revealed,
or it
that you-
undermines like
right,
the 5
everything
chapters
that's
happened
before, which
before.
I don't think it does.
but
Or like-
that doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
Like when Red Hulk is revealed to be Thunderbolt Ross,
Where's his mustache?
they spent so much time convincing you that it wasn't Thunderbolt Ross in the beginning, and then they're like, "Aha! The twist is it is."
Mhm.
You know, which is very unsatisfying.
yeah.
I
You like that one?
super off the rails. I did read that run
Yeah.
well after the fact, and I was like, that's not so bad. But if
Yeah.
it was month to month,
It was. And
11
it was like, all right, I'm
issues.
going to stick with it just so I
Fuck
find
you.
out who he is. And it ultimately you did. And I
but
was
just
like,
reading
ugh.
just reading it all,
Same.
just
Yeah.
reading it all out, I was like, oh, there's a feint. Oh, there's a feint. There's
Yeah.
a feint.
Yeah.
Identity Crisis is great though.
Okay.
I'm just not sure it. I wouldn't put it up for my book club.
Yeah.
Knowing
Oh, no,
knowing
that
knowing
conversation's
the
not
book
one
club
to have.
members
Right,
that
right.
we have.
But you got to know the audience.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Like there's like trigger warnings abound for
Oh, yes.
Identity Crisis.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just so you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
It's yes, but I don't think it's exploitative
Hmm.
that I remember.
Yeah, but because again,
It's hard, but it's not exploitive.
True.
Exploitative.
Exploitative.
Exploitative. Yeah.
but
Or-
because it is wrapped in characters that people
Yeah.
identify with and kind of like know,
Yeah.
then it's hard for them to take. The
I mean-
whole
I
reason why
Mm.
DC said Alan Moore changed these people into
Yeah.
original
Right,
characters.
Right.
I think it's a testament to the story itself, or just the way that it's executed, how well it's executed, is because even though we're all discussing how it's upsetting, but no one said it's bad.
No,
No.
no,
Right,
I
you
think
know
it's
what
great.
I mean? Like,
yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I mean, you didn't
I mean,
enjoy it.
I was underwhelmed by it, but it wasn't bad.
But it's just it, like,
yeah.
if it was bad, the conversation would be about how they screwed this and they screwed this and they treated this person like this and
Yeah.
but that's not
Plot
the conversation.
holes, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the conversation is that it was effective and it was upsetting.
Kevin
good.
is in the chat saying, "Mind blown. Never thought of the Watchmen Identity Crisis juxtaposition." Well
Yeah.
done. Yeah. That was, I don't know if you saw my face. My mind was blown.
You've
And,
blown a mind, Flynn.
Terry says, "I dare say it was good."
He dares it.
All right.
Let's go next.
Let's go next.
We're in our number 2s, guys. Top
we
2,
got
top
here?
2. Brian,
Yes.
what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Blackest Night.
Whoa!
Oh!
Guys, 3 of us have mentioned
Oh.
it, but we're still not talking about it yet.
Okay.
Well.
JD,
That's me.
what's your number 2?
I don't know. Oh, I do know. It's a little ditty I like to call Armageddon 2001.
2001.
baby.
Stop.
Yes, JD.
Len,
We need
what is your number 2? And talk about it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would have been more
Nope.
people's choices.
I'm not a goddamn person.
You're gonna shit on me again. Then
No, I'm
what
not.
do you got
I'm
here?
not. I like
might.
it.
my number 2 was Flashpoint.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Here's the problem with Flashpoint that I think underwhelmed a lot of people is not a problem with the story. It's that halfway through Flashpoint, they told you the new 52 was coming.
Yep.
And it was like, I don't care at all about this anymore. I want to know about that.
Bingo.
And that is not an issue with Flashpoint, the story at all.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, go ahead.
That's there.
Tell us why you loved
It's a
it.
publishing issue.
Tell us why you loved it.
Because I read it for just the single book that it is.
Yeah.
I knew what was happening in the tie-ins. So when I got the
Trade
trade, you know, I kind of knew what they were alluding to and things like that. And I just read it as almost like, you know, okay, like this is an alternate universe, you know, DC comic. And Thomas Wayne is Batman.
Yeah.
And that was cool. Which was cool.
That was
cool.
You know what I
just
mean?
like the Legion thing for you. Mine is that Batman story.
Right, like
For
like
Flashpoint.
him and Martha becomes the Joker.
Yo,
It's that whole
drawn by
thing.
Eduardo Riso.
All of you guys need to read Flashpoint Beyond.
Yeah.
I am. I'm reading
It's-
it right now.
It's literally a sequel to Flashpoint that only focuses on the two of them.
It's true.
Well, I will get that in trade.
It's available
in
now
trade
in
right
trade.
Already?
Yeah.
Did I?
I'm
And it
telling
just
you,
wrapped
came out
DC,
the same week
DC
that
is
the
like
last issue
on
came out.
point when it comes to
Trades.
their solicitations,
That's cool.
and they're like they're good.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, so I really enjoyed it. I like the artwork of the trade. You know, it's all one artist. I'm drawing my blank right now who the artist is, but
Oh, it's Kubert.
yeah, Kubert. Yeah, I thought it
Andy
was
or Adam?
I think it's Adam.
A. Kubert.
A.
A.
Kubert.
Kubert.
It
AK.
was A. Kubert, and
Oh no, wait, it's Andy. I'll look
and he
it up.
did good work. It
Oh,
was
wait, no.
it was good. It was fun. It was fast. And I enjoyed it. And I will also say that I liked it, and I enjoyed for the first time the adaptation of it in animated form.
I like that better.
It was a
Just-
great.
I like that
adaptation.
even better.
Yeah,
Flashpoint Paradox.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
Flashpoint movie
really
was
enjoyed
dope.
it. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. So it was just a bucket of fun. I liked it.
I like this. I like this event. I enjoyed it. I think it suffered from too many tie-ins. The actual event is only 5 issues, but like, for instance, if you look at the omnibus, it's wider than my hand. Like there were so many tie-ins.
Yeah, see, I didn't need all that shit.
Just in general, like if you're reading month to month, and they did stop all other books.
Yeah.
Like every book was replaced by a Flashpoint book. You couldn't avoid it. Which I think diluted the excitement of just because if you just read it as 5 issues and not the baggage of the New 52, it's a quick, tight, fun 5 issues that just like blows you away at the end with the letter.
The letter.
when he
I gotta
gets
say,
the letter, that's
the letter
great.
got me.
It is
Yeah.
a very, very, very strong mini.
If you know, you know. The letter. Got me.
But the weight of all the shit that was going on during publication, all the shit that came afterwards, I think diminishes how strong it could have been.
Because I'm not even
Personally.
sure. I think it was partway through at least the creation of it that they decided that this was going to be a rebooting the universe thing.
Yeah.
So this was just supposed to be a cool Flash story.
So Jeff Johns brought back Barry Allen with Rebirth,
which was good.
which was
Yeah.
good.
That was
That's
good.
the
Yeah.
last thing that I enjoyed that What's His Nuts drew, and we're not going to talk about.
Skyver. Blech.
And then he launched the new Flash title with Francis Manipal.
Yeah.
It only got 11 issues, and then all of a sudden it became an event.
Yeah.
This was only supposed to be an arc of their book.
Yeah.
And then it just exploded into a crisis level.
Yeah.
I
I'll tell
do
you what.
remember I regretted or I mourned the fact that we didn't get what Jeff Johns had set up for the Flash family at the
Oh,
end of the Flash
that
Rebirth.
Probably
Yeah.
would have been
Like
awesome.
I wanted to see,
Yeah.
Flash
They all,
guys.
they all showed up.
Me and you, Flash guys. And when I heard that there, I was like, it's an event
Yeah.
and Flash is at the crux of it.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
I was in hook, line, and sinker, and oh man, so his mom had been murdered, and so Barry Allen goes back in time to save his mom, but then just by saving his mom, he f's up the whole timeline, and
Yeah.
everything's different. That stuff I was into.
Yeah.
My problem came with the
Mm.
publishing initiative of the New 52 was announced
Mhm.
prematurely in my eyes, but I did not care about the new world that they had created.
Oh yeah.
I didn't care about
Yeah.
the Age of Apocalypse version
Right,
of the
right,
DC
right.
universe.
Yeah, and honestly, too, like that goes to my point about like they stopped all of their stories, and if you were reading Wonder Woman, you had to read her as a fascist society that was fighting
Right.
Atlantis.
Yeah.
Right.
If you were
Did
reading
not care.
Yeah.
everything stopped, and all you had was this, so it almost felt forced.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
no Superman
Right.
for a very long time.
Oh yeah, it
Right.
was Subject S. That was
S1,
S1.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
Um,
Abe and Sir Green Lantern was kind of cool.
that was pretty cool.
There were cool stuff about it, but like the Batman, all that
The
kind
Batman
of stuff.
is the one that I
That was
remember
very
the
cool.
most.
But yeah, as just a Flash story, this
Yeah.
might have been like wow, that was one of the best Flash arcs. That's one of the best Flash trades that I've read in a long time. And you know what, though? I do kind of mourn the loss of a unique element of Barry Allen that began with this Flash story.
Bow tie.
Yes. He was Barry Allen, as far as I know, is one of the only characters.
It's like you smelled the fart. That was the best.
He doesn't like both sides.
He
The
just does
Barry
that
Allen-
every time I talk. I just can't see it.
I'm sitting here forever for that.
The Barry Allen Flash is one of the only characters in like all of fiction, heroic characters that I can think of, that does not have any kind of tragedy associated with their origin. They just get powers, and he's like, it'd be cool. This is cool. I love the Flash growing up. I'm going to be a Flash.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's great about this, though, because it was a villain,
Yeah.
like almost destroying,
Yes.
creating a paradox to give him tragedy.
Fascinating
I think that's
story. And it takes something away from Barry Allen that only he had.
Yeah.
Right?
Shazam.
He's an orphan.
That's
You know?
a good
He's
point.
right.
I don't know why that was so funny.
And that's
So-
part of his
Motherfucker,
origin.
he's an
too,
orphan.
isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really cool idea. Like, really interesting. But yeah.
Flashpoint, I think is very strong. You know what though? I think us in this room, save for you, are in the minority because of all the ones we've talked about. It feels like that one has the most legs. It has literally been adapted like twice. It's going to be adapted again next summer.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
constantly
it's
in
named
print.
Flashpoint.
Well, they pretty
We'll
much.
see what happens.
What?
It
Oh,
probably
the
will
Flash
involve
one.
something.
Yeah.
It's gonna take
similar,
enough
yeah.
of it.
They're-
And they adapted it for the CW Flash.
Yeah,
The-
It's like that was the whole origin. Is this?
It's like all
you
of
know?
season 2. Like
Yeah.
they have literally, it's got more legs
Yeah.
than almost anything else we've talked about.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like maybe we're in the minority
Yeah.
thinking that it's not top
It's
tier.
possible.
Except
And you know,
you.
it's interesting too because he doesn't have tragedy in his origin, and he was one of the only characters that stayed dead. And then he comes back and he gets tragedy
Jack
put
gets
into his
tragedy.
origin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have stayed dead.
Okay, I'm gonna
He's
move
the
on
greatest.
because we only got about 15 minutes left.
Oh my god.
My number 2, and we're gonna talk about it, is Blackest Night. I think Blackest
There we
Night
go.
is one of the strongest, best
Yes.
events. Period. It was so incredibly impressive to me. I know that the other Lantern Corps overstayed their welcome for like 40 issues after this,
They sure did.
But they hadn't yet.
They had.
but they had not yet.
No.
I think that even the mechanics of this event are so freaking masterful.
Mhm.
Of each lantern having being a spectrum of the emotional rainbow,
an aspect of the
emotional spectrum.
7 randomly picked emotions.
They had their own
Decent.
skittle.
Yes.
One of which is
Yeah, sure,
not so
sure.
much an emotion.
Sure, I mean, all fiction
Two of
is
Yeah.
made
Black
up,
and white.
but still, the fact that they
No, I meant
made
orange.
that they established pre-existing or just understood
Yeah.
things like a freaking rainbow, like Roy G. Biv, and then applied specific emotions, and then applied specific ways that these emotions function with each other, and then what would they all have to fight, which is death itself, and then like it was just such a wild, fun, emotionally effective event for me, to the point where I was not a fan of Green Lantern before
Oh,
this
yeah?
entire run.
Yeah.
I retroactively read as much as humanly possible.
Mhm.
And even though Hal Jordan is not the best Green Lantern,
No.
The best.
Agreed.
They
he-
say that he is.
wait, even though he is
They
not,
tell you he
even
is.
though he is not the best Green
He
Lantern,
is the best Green
he is my Green Lantern.
Lantern.
almost like your doctor, or like
Yeah, yeah.
because this story itself, I revisit it every couple of years. It's phenomenal. I absolutely
Yeah.
adore every single stitch of this.
I did think that the reason why it didn't make my top, because I just not into Hal Jordan and not into Green Lantern, but I had to recognize that this was a good story across the lines, and it was the first time that I thought anything truly interesting was done with the Lantern Corps.
Fair.
And I gotta say, it was dope. It had legs, and it
Yeah.
was
And they gave Batman a lantern ring.
That's true.
and it was incredible.
They tried to give him more than one.
Yeah.
He refused it.
Yeah,
Remember?
so I gotta give it its props. It was good.
Now, Len, did you read Sinestro Corps War?
No,
That was
'Cause
awesome.
That is awesome.
So that didn't
Yeah.
make the list.
Yeah,
because it's technically
yeah.
not a line wide event. But
Yeah.
that was when I started reading Green Lantern.
yeah.
Because I randomly picked up the one shot in my shop that day because everyone was talking about it.
Yeah.
And it made me continue the book after that.
That's
And you get
awesome.
Cyborg
Yeah.
Superman becomes
That's right.
much more of a Green Lantern villain, which he
Yeah.
has every right to be. I mean, he destroyed Coast City.
Yeah.
And it's really well done.
I do think that too, like this event is Jeff Johns at the peak of his power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Being
Yes.
able to
Yeah.
like a human Rolodex go through the entire history of
Yeah.
all DC
Yeah.
and being able to effortlessly pick and choose things that will fold into the new story he's trying to
Mhm.
tell
Mhm.
to the point where I gave a shit about like the dead Hawkman.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why would I care? I still
Right.
don't care after the story, but
Right.
still just like in the moment,
It was good.
everything worked. Like
Yeah.
I can't this like
Even
my number 1 and number 2 kept switching because I love this book so much.
even the characters that I wasn't that familiar with or cared about,
Mhm.
because their loved ones were being brought back from the dead,
Yeah,
using
yeah.
the Black Lantern rings.
Yeah.
They basically came back as these zombies who were returning with all of their memories and everything
Yeah.
intact.
Yeah.
Your friends and family who have passed away coming back to steal your heart.
Right.
So good. There was
Yeah.
so many scenes where I was just like, I was able to put myself in that position of like,
Yeah.
someone that I loved is back from the dead and they mean me harm.
Yeah.
I just thought, what
yeah.
an interesting way to. Oh, it's a good
The
cover.
Black Hand.
The Black
The
A
Hand.
guy-
goddamn Black Hand.
What business does he have being the villain in the coolest, one of
What?
the coolest things? you
That's
know?
what Terry says. And now this guy matters.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
It's true.
The Black Hand and then, like the way that the idea of like fiction or good fiction being able to reference itself and then fold in on
Mhm.
the opening, the idea that they beat the undead bad guy by reviving him
Oh, right.
when it all started from
right.
him killing himself
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
it's just narratively perfect.
Yeah.
It's absolutely perfect.
This is when I think
Now,
I
when
think I
I-
have an omnibus of this.
When I
Like
put this-
mathematically, this couldn't be put together as well. I love this book so much.
When I put this in my number 2 spot, and it was a serious contender for number 1 as well,
Boom, 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 boom.
I think of it as
Yeah, you guys
Blackest
don't care.
Night, Brightest Day. Right? Like it's
Brightest Day was rough though.
Black.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved Brightest Day.
I gotta reread it.
Yeah,
but
I
I
mean-
remember it being rough. I fell off a little bit.
This was like great enough on its own, but then Brightest Day is the companion to it in my mind, and they're
Yeah.
all part of one story that ends with also a number of characters that I had been missing back. You know, it's like, oh, Martian Manhunter's back, and I
Oh,
forget
yeah.
who else.
That
Yeah, that
8-page
fold out.
fold out.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was cool.
Rise and then
Yeah.
just these characters.
So was it at the end of Blackest Night that the White Lantern shows up for the, and they all, you got like the Justice League as White Lanterns basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's Jeff Johns who is the master
Peak
of
Jeff Johns.
pulling in continuity stuff and making it work, giving each Justice League character a ring that made sense with them.
Oh, that's right.
Right? Like
Lance, you know,
Hope, Lantern, Barry Allen.
Barry Allen.
You've got
Hope,
Love,
and-
Wonder Woman. They all made
Man.
sense and they all worked. And you know, death and coming back is a really big part of DC in the modern era. Started, I think, with Death of Superman.
Yeah.
Was maybe the first one that they were like, we're going to kill him, but not forever. And it's integral to this story.
So that didn't last, but the continuity change at the end of this,
Oh,
though,
of course
too,
it
was
did.
that death was supposed to matter.
Oh yeah,
Because-
yeah.
Necron
Right.
allowed people to die
'Cause he
and
wanted
stay
it to
dead
happen.
because he
Yeah.
resurrect
Right,
because he
right.
wanted to be able to possess them later.
Yeah.
So Superman was allowed to come back, and Wonder
Right.
Woman was allowed to come back
Right.
because he knew that he had a hold on them.
Oh,
So the whole
Oh man,
Yeah, because
when
the whole
that-
idea is like
forgot
people
about
dead
that.
dead was supposed to be dead.
Right,
yeah,
right.
so
Yeah,
afterwards it was
Mhm.
supposed to be dead is
Yeah.
dead, which did hold for a while.
a little bit, but even then, I
Yeah,
was
but
like,
for
that's not
who?
going to happen. That's not going to happen
For when they were,
Yeah.
for nobody.
yeah.
I'll
for
tell you
Jeff
what, though,
Johns.
when you start to realize that every character who has
Yeah.
died is going to become a Black Lantern, it is
It's
like,
oh
oh
shit.
shit.
yeah.
Barry Allen's out racing the ring.
Yeah.
Superman is not.
Yeah.
You know, like that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was quite the
What
story.
a fun scene.
Yeah.
And I know we've already talked about it, but I was flabbergasted by the way that Jeff Johns was able to take something like the Green Lantern and the
Mhm.
core
Mhm.
and fold in stuff that felt so organic that I was amazed it wasn't always there.
Like he had to be without fear,
Mhm.
and he had white at the temples.
Yeah.
And those were caused by a fear entity in the
Yeah.
ring.
Yep.
They were in the lantern. Yeah,
Parallax,
you're right.
yeah.
He does it like it
He-
was written
he-
to be that way.
Out Mark Wade.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I really love about Universe X,
Mm.
which is one of my favorite Marvel things. They do a similar deal where it's like, here's the twists, and it feels like they were written to always be that way.
Mm.
And I love when that happens,
Yeah.
and I also really respect it.
Yeah.
And Jeff Johnson's the best. Of
Yeah,
the
he's
bits.
really good.
Yeah.
All right. We got to move on.
Yeah, we do.
Number ones.
Number one for Brian and talk about it.
Armageddon.
2001.
Yes. I love it. Right. This is an event of a different kind. It's not like
Oh,
Good.
modern
no.
events,
You
right?
guys talk about it all the time, but go on.
But not enough. And so it's an event of a different kind, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not Blackest Night
What
or
was it?
Crisis.
Annuals,
It's two bookend issues and a narrative suggestion for a bunch of annuals, right?
Narrative suggestion.
Basically, it all starts
You're
with
not helping, Brian.
Is this a fifth week event?
Yeah.
Oh.
was it?
Wasn't it?
Mm,
Those
I
were
don't
all
know.
the annuals.
If it's all annuals, then it's a fifth week
I
event.
don't remember.
Yeah. I'm
So
gonna say yes.
Wave Rider comes back. Now Wave Rider,
Who?
Wave Rider,
Uh-huh.
Matt Ryder, a scientist from the future.
It's so loud.
Yes. Now Wave Rider is my other action figure. That if I could have one action figure in addition to Golden Superman, it would be those two guys,
It
right?
said Rider of Waves on any of these pictures.
Yeah,
you
he's
showed
right
me.
there in the middle.
in the middle.
Armageddon 2001, introducing Wave
the-
Rider, and he's
so
also in the left.
Apocalypse-looking one in the middle.
No,
he's the one
Monarch.
that's standing in front of him
He's standing in front of him.
You can
on the
understand.
second
That's
picture.
Booster Gold.
Nah,
No,
man.
the second
no.
picture.
Second picture.
So Wave
Right in front of
Rider
the
is
face.
like
Oh, the
golden.
golden red
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
He's
Never
he's
seen
got,
him since.
He's got
No, nobody
fire.
has.
He's got
No,
fire.
not enough.
What's his name? Fire.
Hair.
Storm.
Firestorm.
Firestorm's
Yeah,
hair, but in a mullet.
No, it's kind of up.
It's a mullet.
All right. But he's got a cool look.
Yeah.
He's
No,
got
except
great
for the mullet.
powers. When he travels
No.
through time, it looks cool.
No.
And Len is wrong about everything he's just said, about me being wrong about what I just said.
I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm also just saying you're not selling me. Go on.
Okay. We'll let the book do the talking when
Yeah.
you read it in its entirety.
Yeah.
So this
Not
is
available.
another thing that hits a lot of my chords where every annual he's trying to figure out which hero betrays all of them
Mhm.
and turns into Monarch, right?
Mm.
It's somebody that was able to just wipe them all out. And
Oh, my dude.
there he is. He's in the background of Justice League. I know, but it's like a 3-inch and it's JLU style and whatever.
That looks cooler than what. you've
That looks
shown us.
cooler than
Sorry, yeah.
that's
It's also cool. Don't get me wrong.
Let him do the thing.
Anyway, so he needs to travel back in time. Monarch has set him up, yes, and he has this memory of a hero reaching down and pulling him as a child out of the rubble, right? And so you see, and he's been trying to remember his whole life who this was, and you see different like tall, thin panels, and you just see the arm coming down, and DC, it's recognizable. You see like Green Lantern's arm come down, and he's like, no, it wasn't him. And you see Superman or Batman or whatever. Yes, no,
Who wrote this?
I have no idea.
I think it's Jurgens.
That sounds right. Certainly his era.
Written in art? No.
I don't remember. But the art was all over the place because it was everybody's annual.
Oh.
So in trying to find this out, who becomes Monarch, he goes back, and when he touches someone, in his head, he's like, contact. And then he sees their whole future play out, right? And for many years now, sometimes when I touch somebody's hand, like
Contact.
I think contact. And so I love it. You get to see what happens for their 10 years in their future, because it came out in 91. And like Wally West has a kid who has the Speed Force but no aura, so
Who is
he can't move.
The writers are Archie Goodwin and Denny O'Neill.
Really?
Mm.
Oh,
How
that's
about
cool.
it? Yeah.
Mm.
Interesting.
Um,
Sorry, go ahead.
That's a lot.
So there's those things. This is another issue where it is on my number 2 is on my rack of notable issues,
Yeah.
and it's something that I think about a lot. There's a scene where Captain Atom in the future has had to not use his powers, right? Because they're like tearing a hole in space-time.
Yeah.
And we're using a cane now because he was in a plane crash. And he's like, when the plane crashed and it turned my leg to hash, I still didn't use my powers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I went through this. And then it's like come back to me a lot of times where it's like, shit sucks right now,
Yeah.
but I'm still persevering,
Yeah.
like this plane is crashing. I'm not doing what
That's
I shouldn't
awesome.
do, Yeah.
Pulled strength from a comic book. That's
Indeed.
awesome. Yeah.
Indeed. More than once. But yeah, so issue 2 of this is on my private shelf. And yeah, just seeing him see those different gloves throughout.
Yeah.
And then you find out who it is at the end. It's great. He also his other timeline version becomes the leader of the Linear Men, which was very cool. But yeah, and you get there were 4 Superman comics at the time. So you get 4 different annuals. And it's because every time he comes into contact with them, he changes the future. So I think Monarch had sent him back because he knows that has to happen.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, Monarch's identity changed midway through.
That's the big thing. That's the big.
But I didn't know shit about that when
Yeah.
it was coming out, right? And I always thought, how's this Hank motherfucker,
Yeah.
this Hank Hall motherfucker taking these guys out? But they it's fine.
What happens is that it gets spoiled out in the the zeitgeist
real world
of who actually the monarch
Who's it
is.
supposed to be?
It was supposed to be Captain Adam, and
Yeah.
it pretty much is hardcore set up to be.
Well, it makes sense.
Captain
Who
Adam.
else has the ability, is powerful enough
Yeah.
Why
to
didn't they
take
just
them all
keep it?
out?
Well,
I think they
because
just
they
didn't know what
got
to do.
scared and they
Yeah.
wanted to still have a surprise.
Yeah.
So the surprise was that it wasn't Captain Adam; it was Hawk of
Yeah.
Hawk and Dove.
And it was basically because
Who's just
he,
an angrier Batman?
he
Thank
has
you.
Without the training.
He has
Thank
some
you.
low-level powers.
Yeah.
But they spun it
Hawk
the whole
sucks.
reason he was able to do it was because of the Monarch armor.
Yeah.
And honestly,
All right.
the main stuff that I like about Armageddon 2001 isn't that reveal.
Same.
It's
Same.
all of the annuals that are
It's not the
awesome.
book.
Yeah.
Right. It's parts of the book, but those are bookends. They're
Mhm.
cool, but the meat of it is the annuals.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
Where everyone is a different possible future, right?
It's
Clark
really-
Kent becomes president. Barry Allen's kid, you remember, or Wally West's kid, you remember he doesn't have the Speed Force aura.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
all one-shot tie-ins.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
that's all-
Yeah.
You're right.
We're running out of time, so I want
That's
to
all I had
push
to say about
forward.
that.
Okay. And I
Um,
agree with everything he said.
Thank you.
So JD and Len, you guys are next, but you have the same one. So the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, go, say it, and then you can start talking about it. So 1, 2, 3.
Crisis on Infinite Earths,
Good book.
because there cannot be any other number one,
Except
because
mine.
because this was the first and it is still the best, because it was a complete tie-in of everything that was going on. It was a summation that a story that had been seeded for almost 2 years before it popped off. It actually did have serious ramifications that were felt for
The
a
most
long
serious.
time.
Yeah.
And it was a book that still holds up. It was one artist doing some of his best work at
Uh-huh.
the time.
To this day.
It was a story that made sense.
Yeah.
That there was actually a beat, I think, between issues in 3 and 4, where the last pages got fucked up, and they had to kind of do a quick retrigger, but they did it and it made it work. And because they played fair with you, you were in for the ride. It was just all that. It was amazing. It was amazing that they could pull that off, and it was the first, and you didn't believe they're going to kill Wonder Woman. They're going to kill the Flash. No. And even then, when superheroes didn't die often, you still thought they'll come back. The Flash didn't come back for almost 20 years.
Had
Wouldn't they?
a superhero died and come back before that?
I think they kind of had maybe not
I don't think so.
died,
I mean,
but
Alfred.
they were
there was-
imaginary
Oh, sure,
story
There
sure,
or
wasn't,
things
things
there
like
wasn't
that.
much of a
Tales that
continuity.
couldn't, shouldn't, or wouldn't.
Right, it wasn't a big continuity.
There wasn't
thing.
really
Right.
much in continuity.
Well, that's
Yeah,
true.
That's
Yeah,
the whole
yeah,
point
yeah.
of this, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was untreaded waters.
Yeah.
Right?
Now,
I'll tell you,
Len,
I never bought their reason though, where they're like, "Oh, we want to streamline things. The whole concept of multiple realities is too confusing." I'm like, "How is this confusing?"
It's not confusing.
You know?
it never really got super confusing,
Yeah.
but they just wanted to try and streamline things.
I get that, but it's just the
Not
idea
have,
of like,
like,
you don't think I can figure
two
out
su-
that
two
this-
7 Supermen.
Yeah, but as time has gone on, it constantly expands and compresses
It does.
over and over again. So
as
it's
detailed in Doomsday Clock.
anyway,
Now,
yeah.
Len, you were talking about they were leading up to it. They were seeding it for like 2 years. I was not reading comics at that time,
Mhm.
or at least not DC comics. And so I really only read Crisis itself. What were they doing?
What they were doing, the Monitor
Ah.
was introduced as kind of like this like villain, like whisperer.
Hmm.
So he would like help them with like getting weapons and things of that
Oh,
nature.
okay.
And what you learned was that he was doing that also that they could test the heroes to see which ones he wanted to pull to fight this.
Had they
to fight
just
this
not
fight.
figured out who the Monitor was yet?
No.
You think, like Mark Waid, he was like, I'm going to put this interesting character in, but I don't know exactly what his deal is going to be.
No, well,
No,
first of all, it was
they-
Marv Wolfman.
I mean, Mark Waid, you're right.
but no, they
But-
knew all along.
Yeah.
they know-
Oh, okay.
Like maybe like the broad strokes of this, like the minutia of the story
Right,
hadn't
right.
been planned out.
But they didn't switch up what the Monitor
No,
was.
no, no. They know exactly. What they were doing.
I was watching Doom Patrol last night,
looks
and they
so
take
dumb.
fake names, and they are Agents Wolfman and Perez.
Oh,
I was like, I love a nod like that,
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, if you look at them now, and if you look at any Perez design,
Yeah.
they're overcomplicated designs as far as costume and things of that nature. They're
but
definitely
it
of
works
their
for the
time.
Monitor because he's not a superhero. He's a cosmic
Yeah.
entity,
Mhm.
and I think it still looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, 100%. I agree with everything you said, but you said it cooler than me, so I won't bother.
Yeah, shut the hell up.
I'm gonna skip to my number one. It's the last book we're gonna talk about tonight. The best thing about Crisis on Infinite Earths is how it seeded the brilliance of Infinite Crisis.
Shut up!
Hey!
So
Terry's in the studio
screaming,
hooting and
yay.
hollering.
So
Come on, bring it.
everything.
I'm
that you-
ready.
First of all, I love Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think it's fantastic.
Mhm.
But the way that this earth-shattering event started with Ted Cord getting shot in the face
Yeah.
as soon as you started to like him in Modern Era,
Yeah.
and then became six-issue miniseries, all dealing with one faction of the DC universe,
Mm.
all of them leading to a rebirth or a Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2
Yeah.
Mhm.
that leveraged everything before. This is the Blackest Night was the like prime peak of
Mhm.
Jeff Johns' powers.
Mhm.
This is the onset of Jeff Johns' powers.
Mhm.
Like,
Was this
being-
before? This was before Blackstone.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, was that?
Yeah.
Huh.
This was again, I had just started getting back into college or back into comics in college. I read Rebirth, I read Green Lantern Rebirth, and then this was coming out like right after.
Mhm.
Hook, line, and sinker, all 6 miniseries.
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit about the magic in the DC universe, but I was reading Days of Judgment. I didn't give
That's
I
good.
I had no idea what was going on in the Batman books, but I was reading the OMAC project.
Yeah.
All of the minis were so good.
Yeah.
Sure.
Everything of the year and a half leading up to this, and the explosion with the giant tuning fork and the changing of continuity, everything that happened during it and after it was just awesome. And then 52. I know 52 is not really like loved by many, but it coming out right
Okay.
after this, the
That was
weekly
fine.
comics.
It was fun.
Yeah. It was cool.
This whole 2.5 years of DC comics,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't think that they've matched it
It
since.
was
It
awesome.
was some really good writing.
Please.
So Crisis on Infinite Earths and Infinite Crisis are sort of neck and neck, but I gave it to Crisis on Infinite Earths for being the original. And this wouldn't exist. Infinite Crisis would not exist without the original. And it was also the first big event that I was just like, my mind was blown by Crisis on
Yeah.
Infinite Earths.
Yeah. Yeah.
This I loved as it was coming out because of the meta commentary it was making. Because, we watched all of these different heroes and villains from different universes in the multiverse sacrifice themselves all for the greater good of this new universe, which is being created.
Mhm.
And then because of after that, when Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen happened, and all of the darkening
Yeah.
of comic
Yeah.
bookdom,
Yeah.
of superhero storytelling got
Yeah.
so dark for so long, that it was part of this story
Mhm.
that those characters who we thought were obliterated were actually like tucked away in a pocket universe or something, watching. They're able to watch what was happening in the regular DC universe as it became after Crisis on Infinite Earths. And they were sitting there going, what are you doing?
We saved
What
the
did
wrong universe.
What did we
Yeah.
sacrifice ourselves
Why
for?
did we do
Yeah.
this? Wonder Woman just snapped Max Lord's neck.
Yeah,
Blue Beetle just got shot in the face.
yeah.
So it was really a commentary on how dark everything had gotten at that point, and it was time for something for there to be some light in the storytelling. That is really what attached me to this story. I love Infinite Crisis. I love this.
All exhibited through the characterization of Superboy Prime
Yeah.
and what he became.
Yeah.
He has become a joke in the comic book community.
Yeah.
I still love Superboy
That
Prime.
was cool.
I
And
know.
he's a pre-existing character.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Jeff Johns turned around.
He-
Who also inspired Superman's Secret Identity, which is a phenomenal miniseries.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of really cool big action set pieces in here, like the two Supermen flying Superboy Prime through the Red Sun.
Yeah.
After Superboy Prime kills Connor.
Right.
So the big death in this one was Connor Kent,
Right.
and he didn't come back for years.
Was it? It was a while, yeah.
It was a while.
This is the
Wasn't
first
until
comic that I
a couple
remember
years ago.
reading and being so into it that I was like, I want more to be in this more, and like went online and read articles about it obsessively just because I'm like, this is so cool. I can't wait till the next one comes out, It also, Crisis on Infinite Earths is great, but it got rid of the pre-crisis reality. This one said that actually has existed the whole time.
Yeah.
Because after Crisis on Infinite Earths, publishing wise, it was like that stuff never happened.
Yeah.
It kind of did, but
In a
Crisis didn't happen.
streamlined universe.
Yeah, it was like they knew that some big crisis had occurred, but the fact that their lives, their reality was different before that, those characters didn't know at all. And now Golden Age Superman was around, and they remembered Crisis.
The deal with Infinite Crisis is, and I'm not knocking Infinite Crisis. It's very good.
We're all picking our favorites because, but they're
Right.
all. It's like a box of awesome, and we have to pick our favorites
Right.
out of it. Like nobody's really giving shit.
Like Infinite Crisis to me, like you said, Infinite Crisis doesn't exist without Crisis on Infinite Earths. True. I also think that Infinite Crisis, you have to remember, comes out not only after Crisis on Infinite Earths, but Crisis on Infinite Earths comes out before Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
So it comes out before comics start getting more meta.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like Infinite Crisis is actually Crisis if it was done in under that mindset.
Yeah.
So that's why to me it's and I think in a little bit it kind of like apes what Wolfman and Perez did down to the writing and down to the art.
Yeah.
So that's why it is a second to Crisis.
I am of the mindset that I can love a cover song more than the original.
Sure. Joe Cocker's Little Help from
And
My
that's
Friends.
kind of how this feels for me.
Running up
I
that
still
hill.
I still
know.
appreciate the shit out of the original,
Mhm.
but the cover song is the one I put on repeat more because it just speaks to me more for whatever reason.
More often than not, though, that is wrong.
I
I'm not saying it's always wrong, but more
mean,
often
Joe
than not.
Cocker is a good
Little Help
example.
from My Friends.
Joe Cocker is one of the few.
The
Yeah.
fact that they took Superboy from the old comics and turned
Yeah.
him into Superboy Prime,
Yeah.
brutal.
Still kicking around.
Well,
Oh,
no,
wait, no,
well,
he was always
Superboy
Superboy
Prime was
Yeah.
Superboy Prime actually in Crisis was from an Earth that was supposed to be our Earth,
Right.
He's
and our
reading
only
comics
hero
every day.
was
That's right.
Superboy.
That's
Well,
right.
actually, in the
I
beginning,
forgot.
it was
Which
just
is now-
Our Earth that published DC Comics, and they couldn't keep that going. Like towards the end,
Yeah,
there
they
was a
created a
kid who was named
Superboy.
Clark Kent, who was in a world where Superman comics existed.
Which
Yeah.
is why now
Yeah.
he is the poster boy for Toxic Fan.
And
Yeah.
which is why
That's
he,
fine.
as he mentioned, is the inspiration for
Secret
Superman's secret
Yeah.
identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because there's a Clark Kent who lives in a world
Right.
that
Yeah.
reads Superman comics. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a great minute.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was
So-
good. I didn't really like the Batman.
I do think that the list, like the DC list, was in a way almost easier to talk about or even just kind of compile because DC very specifically only has like one style of event or very few styles of event.
Yeah.
And it's mostly
Hmm.
crises.
More so recently, right? Like
Well, I
after
mean-
the first Crisis, there was a number of years where it was just
Well,
big
I mean,
stuff.
but by recently you mean the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Which is a long span of time.
Yeah, it is.
They tried to,
But even more in the last like
But even
5 or
even
6
when they
years.
don't talk, even when they're
Yeah.
not calling it crises,
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
it's a crisis event.
There was still 0
Both-
Hour that nobody
both
brought
0
up.
Hour,
Yeah,
both
which I
metal-
loved.
Both medals were crisis events.
Sure.
Flashpoint was a crisis event.
Mhm.
Like they seem to kind of keep singing that song of reboot.
I think it's since Flashpoint, every event since then has been like a crisis.
Well, Infinite Crisis and Final Crisis was before Flashpoint. I think it's before that though.
but you got a little more of a mix. Like you've got Blackest Night.
Oh, and
for
0
instance.
Hour.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's one out of like 5 I just
Yeah.
mentioned. Like I do think, like I'm not saying there's not
they
crisis
definitely
events.
started branding.
It's a lot of
Crisis.
crisis
Yeah.
events.
Yes, they
Whereas
started
with
branding.
Marvel, it was almost a little harder to
Mhm.
pick a top 5 because it was a little bit more varied.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like personally,
DC does feel very samey.
I'm not saying that's even a bad thing. It's just it's almost like it's
It's
easier.
comfortable.
It's like
comfortable.
we're like with Marvel, it felt like I was picking a bunch of favorite songs off of different genres.
Mm.
Whereas with DC, it's like 2 genres.
I gotta
Yeah,
give it
even though
to
Identity Crisis
DC
doesn't
in
fit, like-
general.
It doesn't.
Like
but do you
But
know what I
it's
mean?
got
Like,
the branding.
yeah,
it has the word crisis in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I- yeah.
And of course the seminal
It
Identity
shouldn't,
disc,
honestly.
which came out
Yeah,
from
from
Marvel.
Marvel.
around that
I
time.
was so mad
God.
about
My
that.
God, what an
Assholes.
awful.
I mean,
Yeah.
in closing, there's 2 things that I would love to do.
Hmm.
One,
Kiss Brian.
it's the
course.
third thing.
Okay.
But it's on the list.
It's on the list. It's
Stay tuned.
It's a close 3.5.
Is there even a 3?
Yeah, 3 is
just down.
3 is a quadruple
Kiss.
makeout
That
section.
would be better.
I would love to take our collective lists together,
Yeah.
Okay.
and we have to rank across both Marvel and DC.
What?
Okay. So we
So
have
I can
to
just
rank.
put all of my DC
2,
and then all
no,
of
no,
Marvel
no,
right after
no,
that.
no. So I took all top 5s from everybody.
Yeah.
And based off of mentions and point systems, there is a top 10
Oh,
across
Oh,
all of us.
interesting.
And you could only use that list
And it's all the
to
DC
create your
books?
No. Fuck you.
That sounds fun.
That does sound
That
fun.
sounds
So
awesome.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like
yeah.
you will have to pick your top
So are we doing this
5.
now?
No.
No.
We'll be here for another like 3 hours.
No.
We're gonna do it like eventually, but I would love to keep doing these ranking shows in
These are
general,
fun.
These
like
are fun.
mini series or I don't know.
Sure.
singles,
Crossovers, I believe Len
movies?
suggested.
It's got to be some. So like movies. Would you mean like comic book movies?
Sure.
Or
We'll
because
figure it out.
I mean it can't be so freewheeling that we don't. All of us are talking
Top
about one thing.
5
Like there's
concepts.
It's yeah. It has to be. I think it has to be something
Articles of
that's
clothing.
that's narrow enough for us
Yeah.
to have overlap.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah.
It can't
Yeah.
be super fucking broad.
Yeah.
Secret Empire's Marvel, dipshit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And I don't
Okay.
remember it.
And so listen to the last episode that you made us do at Len's house. Oh, it was lovely, Len. Thank you.
we didn't have a
He had
producer
so
yelling
many
at us.
Snickers.
Yeah.
All right.
We were
Thank
like-
you for joining us. Until next week, where can we find
We're not
You.
here next week.
well until 2 weeks from
No,
now?
it's Noel's birthday next week, and we're going to be doing Noel stuff.
Yeah.
You know what that means?
Bowling.
Sex.
Wish number 3.
Yeah. Where can we find you online?
You can catch me on Twitter at Mr. Bartocci, BARTOCCI.
I'm at
MRBAR.
BrianLeeDesign.com.
At Bad Tribble.
Oh, NoelTheWriter.com.
But what if somebody
shut
wanted
up.
to give money to
Oh,
us?
You can go to patreon.com.
Or maybe I should just shut up.
Shut up. Listen, we're supposed to be a hard stop at 10 o'clock.
All right.
Patreon.com/Johnny Destructo. We have a brand new patron. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of the patrons. And also, we mentioned it earlier. Peter David is having a lot of medical trouble. So we are raffling off the Peter David Incredible Hulk Omnibus #1, $5 a raffle ticket. Email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com. I will respond to you. I'll send you the Venmo that you can send the money to, and whoever you'll win it.
Out
Someone
of
will win
print.
it.
Maybe.
TM variant. Can't find it for cover price anywhere.
Yeah. Some of the best Hulk stories extant. You know,
Yeah.
these are awesome stories.
Thank you so much. And Terry, thank you so much for your hard work. We love you. Everybody out there, be safe. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Have a great holiday.
End
All right.
broadcast,
Happy
mother lover.
holiday.
Be safe.